Chapter 552. Yunzhong Province. The sound of horses' hooves echoed in the valley. This was the garrison of the Yunzhong Province's Iron Blade Army, but it was also very close to Cangnan Province's Wugu City. As the sun rose, the morning light shone on the cavalryman's armor, giving off a mesmerizing glow. There were 4 people standing on the platform. They were Su Muyun, Su Yu, Su Long, and Luo Xan, who had just joined the Iron Blade Army. At this time, Luo Xan was wearing a silver robe that was specially made. His white robe was fluttering in the wind, and he was holding an iron spear in his hand. This is the Iron Blade Army. Su Muyun squinted his eyes and said, one of the most elite cavalrymen in the empire. The Iron Blade Army still maintains a formation of 50,000 cavalrymen and 70,000 infantrymen. In terms of numbers, they are one of the best in the empire. IU has improved the weapons and shields used by the Iron Blade Army many times in the past 2 years to increase their fighting power, but the Iron Blade Army is no longer the strongest army in the empire. Luo Xan was stunned. Such a strong Iron Blade Army is still not the strongest in the empire? Then who is? Currently, the publicly acknowledged strongest army in the empire is Lin Muyu's Valiant Dragon Army. There are a total of 60,000 of them, and their equipment is second to none in the continent. Their military strength is also witnessed by everyone. Su Yu smiled faintly and said, the Brave Dragon Battalion defeated the 1st Demon Legion at the Wildfire Plains with almost negligible losses, forcing the 1st Demon Commander, Qian Feng, to return in defeat. It is precisely because of this that the Brave Dragon Battalion is the legion that the Empress trusts the most. Luo Xian's eyes were full of fighting spirit. Father, don't worry. I will definitely follow Sister Su Yu and Uncle Long to learn the art of war. I will make the Iron Blade Army the strongest army in the world, surpassing the Longdan Army camp. Good. Su Muyun nodded and smiled. This is what I wanted to hear. Now, I will give you your first order. Luo Xan immediately cupped his hands. Father, please give me your order. I will give you 5,000 cavalrymen. You must take back a black gold mine from a group of bandits before sunset. Mountain Obsidian Gold Mine. Luo Xan was stunned. I have seen the map. Qishan belongs to the territory of Cangnan Province. It is under the jurisdiction of the governor of Wugu City, Su Jiantao, and Su Jiantao is Lin Muyu's man. That's right. Su Muyun said, there are very few profound gold mines within the empire's borders, and most of them are mined privately. Mount Qi is located at the border between Cangnan Province and Yunzhong Province, and its sovereignty has always been unclear. Furthermore, Su Jiantao has too few troops under his command, so he sent a group of less than 2,000 mercenaries to mine at Mount Qi. Since that's the case, we'll just treat this group of mercenaries as bandits and eliminate them, and take the Mount Qi's profound gold mine for ourselves. Yes, I understand. The sun had completely risen above the horizon and shone on Su Muyun and Su Yu's faces. Su Yu was slightly displeased after hearing Su Muyun's words. She waited until Luo Xan rode away before saying, Father, Yu is Xiao Yin's man. Us making such a big fuss is no different from provoking him. Provoking? Su Muyun looked at his daughter indifferently and said, how many people from the Su family are still being used by His Highness in the Zetian Palace? If we don't consolidate our strength, I'm afraid that Tang Lan will be able to quietly destroy our Yunzhong province without a trace before Xiao Yin makes a move. The profound gold mine is extremely important to any power. In the future, whoever controls the heavenly book will have great power. Su Yu wanted to say something but stopped herself. Helplessness was written all over her charming face. 3 days later, after tossing and turning, Lin Muyu's 500 men finally returned to Lanyan City. Situ Sen and Situ Shui led 5,000 men from the Longdan army camp out of the city to welcome them. When they saw a group of frost-armored dragons and blazing black tortoises, they were immediately shocked. Commander, is this the legendary frost-armored dragon? Situ Sen held the hilt of his sword and looked at Wei Chao's spirit pet with caution. Huff! The frost-armored dragon seemed to have sensed Situ Sen's hostility. It immediately moved its head over and spat out a frosty breath at Situ Sen's face. Streaks of ice fell down his face. Immediately, Citizen pulled out his sword and said angrily, lightning-throwing Lu Mao, "You bastard, how dare you spit at me?" Wei Chou glared and said, "General Sin, this is my spirit pet. Don't provoke it." Citizen laughed and put his arm around Wei Chou's shoulder. He said, "Ah Chou, do you have any extra frost armor dragons? Why don't you give one to me and I'll treat you to a drink?" Wei Chou widened his eyes and said, "My name is Wei Chou, not Ah Chou. What's the difference? We shouldn't haggle over every penny. Our lives are too tiring. Ah Chou, I'll treat you to 3 drinks in exchange for a frost armor dragon. If you want to catch one, go ahead." Sidu Shui giggled at the side. She didn't care about Sidu Sen and Wei Chou's nonsense. She rode to Lin Muyu's side and said with a respectful smile, "Commander, you've worked hard." "General Shui has also worked hard in training the soldiers," Lin Muyu said with a smile. Sidu Shui looked at the group of spirit pets behind her and said, "If so many behemoths were to enter Lanyan City, I'm afraid that the common people would be frightened. Milord, do you really want to bring these frost-armored dragons into the imperial capital? I'm afraid that even the imperial army guarding the city would not agree to it." "Of course not." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "I've already thought about it. The frost-armored dragons can't leave the water for too long. Otherwise, they will lose their vitality. Therefore, General Shui, please send people to dig a lake beside the encampment outside the Longdan army camp. Let's call it the Dragon Pond. It will be the habitat of the frost-armored dragons. In the future, if we have more aquatic spirit pets, we can also raise them in the Dragon Pond." "Yes, Your Majesty." Sidu Shui smiled and said, "With so many spirit pets, I'm afraid we'll need a lot of food. Do you need me to take care of this?" "That would be best." "Yes." Sidu Shui held the reins and thought for a moment. Then she said, "There's one thing that I don't know if I should tell you, Your Majesty." "Say it. What is it?" Lin Muyu asked in surprise. Sidu Shui said, "Recently, Cloud King Su Muyun adopted a son called Luo Xen. His cultivation is at the Holy King realm. He consecutively defeated Zhang Wei, my brother Sidu Sin, and Commander Feng Jixing in Zhe Tian Palace." "He defeated Big Brother Feng?" Lin Muyu was slightly stunned. "That's impossible. Big Brother Feng's cultivation is very pure. Even if his opponent is at the Holy King realm, he might not be able to defeat him, right? Maybe it's because General Feng didn't eat his fill that day." Sidu Shui's expression turned cold. Then she said, "This Luo Xen was appointed as the deputy commander of the Steel Blade Army by Su Muyun. 3 days ago, he led 5,000 soldiers of the Steel Blade Army to seize the profound gold mine on Mountain Qi and killed all the 2,000 mercenaries that Su Jiantao hired to guard the mine. Su Jiantao was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Now, this mountain is guarded by 3,000 soldiers of the Steel Blade Army. The Mountain Qi profound gold mine was lost?" Lin Muyu was burning with anger. Her fists were surrounded by King's fighting flame. She said, "Where did this Luo Xen come from? How dare he be so bold? What is Su Muyun thinking?" Situ Shui said, "In the territory of the empire, there was no Mountain Qi at all. This Mountain Qi is actually shared by Yunzhong Province and Sangnan Province. In order to save the manpower of the Longdan army camp, Su Jiantao did not send the Longdan army camp to Mountain Qi. He only hired a group of mercenaries to guard the mountain. This gave Su Muyun an excuse. He claimed that he had wiped out the mountain bandits that occupied the mine. A day ago, he asked His Highness for a decree to directly transfer Mountain Qi to Yunzhong Province. We suffered a loss for nothing." As she said this, Sidu Shui paused. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. Then she said, "Luo Xian's strength is very strong. He has repeatedly challenged the generals in the empire. Except for Xiang Yu, the Marquis of Pingnan, he has challenged almost all the strong generals in the empire. What about Big Brother Feng?" Sidu Jin could not help but laugh. General Feng went to the Yunzhong Palace to challenge Luo Xen after he was full. However, Luo Xen closed the door and refused to fight. He avoided General Feng's challenge time and time again. I heard that There are rumors in the Empire that Luo Exen is already the strongest in the Empire. Strongest in the Empire? Lin Muyu laughed. With Chu and Qin Han around, who does he think he is? Are you going to the Yunzhong Palace to challenge Luo Exen? There's no need. Lin Muyu said, once the news of my return to Lanyan City spreads, Luo Exen will definitely take the initiative to find me. Only by defeating me can he really be the strongest. After entering Zetian Palace to hand in the order and having dinner with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, Lin Muyu brought the 200 staff members of the Holy Palace back to the Holy Palace to hand in the order. The mighty group of people attracted the attention of the people on Tongtian Street. The Holy Palace was brightly lit. Gu Yang held a scroll in his hand and was reading a section of a martial art mental cultivation method. Xianyuan Hong sat at the side with his eyes closed in an elderly manner. There was a hint of a leisurely smile on his lips. Lin Muyu pays her respects to the great deacon. Greetings to Deacon Gu Yang. Oh, you is back. Xianyuan Hong stood up and glanced at Lin Muyu and the others. He smiled. It seems that Yu's cultivation has improved after this trip. It's all right. Lin Muyu smiled modestly. She said to Xianyuan Hong, Great Deacon, I have something to discuss with you and Deacon Gu Yang alone. Oh, then come to the side palace. Yes. When there were only 3 people in the side palace, Lin Muyu took out the scroll she had written and said, Great Deacon, please take a look and see if this mental cultivation method is feasible. Xianyuan Hong received the scroll doubtfully. As he read it, the doubt on his face gradually dissipated and was replaced by ecstasy. He raised his head and asked, did you write this mental cultivation method? How mysterious. Lin Muyu answered honestly, this is the remnant scroll of the forging dragon bone that Elder Chu once gave me. I've modified and simplified it to become this. It's quite effective in cleansing the meridians and marrow. If Great Deacon thinks that it's feasible, this mental cultivation technique can be used as a cultivation technique in the Holy Sanctum. Any Silver Star sparring master or instructor can practice it. Xianyuan Hong handed the scroll to Gu Yang as if he had received a treasure. At this moment, a Holy Palace guard suddenly rushed in. He seemed to be in a sorry state. He said, Great Deacon, someone wants to challenge Lady Lin Muyu in the Holy Palace. He claims to be Luo Exen from the Cloud King residence. So fast. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. All right, it's time for me to see this Luo Exen. Chapter 553. Torches lit up the main road in front of the Divine Temple. More than a dozen Divine Temple guards had already drawn their swords and sabers and were coldly facing the outside. Outside the hall, torches flickered. The guards of the Cloud Mansion were dressed in martial attire and were guarding the perimeter. Luo Exen was clad in silver armor and holding a spear. Her eyes were filled with arrogance as she said in a clear voice, Commander Yu, please come out and teach me. As a deacon, although Zhen Fang had lost his cultivation due to his sea of qi being destroyed, he still held a long sword and said, The Divine Temple is a place for people who cultivate their hearts and virtue, not a place for fighting. Lin Muyu is the Marquis of Yunling and is not someone you can challenge as you please. Luo Exen, you should go back and be a deputy Chiliarch. Luo Exen said with a cold face, Zhen Fang, this is none of your business. Go away. I heard that you were an expert in the past, but now that your sea of qi has been destroyed, you have become a useless person. I don't want to fight with you. Zhen Fang trembled with anger, but there was nothing he could do. A group of people from the Divine Temple were also filled with righteous indignation. Many of them almost cursed it out loud, but because of the Cloud Mansion's reputation, no one said anything. After all, Su Muyun's influence in Lanyan City and Yunzhong Province was too great. He was not someone ordinary people could afford to offend. The sound of footsteps came from the main hall. A few Gold Star instructors were holding torches to clear the way. Xianyuan Hong and Gu Yang, the 2 respected elders, were walking in front. Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, Bai Yin, and the others followed behind. Luo Exen recognized Xianyuan Hong and immediately cupped her fists and said, Greetings, Great Deacon. Xianyuan Hong nodded. Young General Luo Exin, why have you come to my divine temple? To meet Lin Muyu. Luo Exion's lips curled up. If I don't defeat Lin Muyu, I won't be the number one among the younger generation in Lanyan City. Xin Yuanhong laughed. If you get the number one, what do you plan to do next? Luo Exin was startled. I don't know and I don't care. I want to be the number one in Lanyan City and the Empire. Only then will I be worthy of my father's grace. Saying so, Luo Exion's eyes fell on Lin Muyu. As a Saint King Realm Master, he could feel Lin Muyu's powerful aura and pointed his spear directly at Lin Muyu. Commander Yu, as the second of Lanyan's 4 heroes, don't you dare accept this Luo Exion's challenge? Lin Muyu stepped forward and stood majestically in front of Luo Exin. Her eyes were filled with disdain as she smiled and said, I heard that a few days ago you led your men to seize Mount Qi of Tsangnan Province? Luo Lin Luo. So what if I know? So what if I don't? Luo Exin laughed coldly. Lin Muyu's smile widened. She raised a finger. If you don't know, I'll beat you until you can't get out of bed for 3 days. If you know and still attack my territory, I'll beat you until you can't get out of bed for half a month. Impudent. Luo Exin gritted her teeth, her aura suddenly increased by a large margin. Her purple dragon martial spirit let out a roar and surrounded the spear. Pointing the spear at Lin Muyu, she said, Do you dare to compete with me? Lin Muyu turned around and looked at Xin Yuanhong respectfully. What do you think, head deacon? Xin Yuanhong stroked his white beard and laughed. Stopping a war with a fight is one of the virtues of martial arts. However, I only have one thing to say to you. Please speak, head deacon. If you want to fight, go outside. Yes. Lin Muyu cheerfully turned around and pulled out the star's sword from her back. She smiled and said, Luo Exin, let's go out and fight. Don't damage the divine sanctum's things. The divine sanctum isn't as rich as the Cloud King residence. As you wish. Wei Chou raised the demon-devouring bow and said with a cold expression, Longdan Army Camp, clear the streets in front of the Holy Temple and make it a battlefield for the Lord Commander. Send out troops and forbid anyone from interfering in this duel. In an instant, hundreds of Longdan Army Camp's elite soldiers rushed out and formed a semicircle outside the Holy Temple. They faced Luo Exion's men from a distance. However, Luo Exion's men were the Cloud Palace's guards. They were obviously not as elite as the experienced Longdan Army Camp's elites. In terms of experience, this group of people had followed Lin Muyu from Mozong Pass in Earthstar Province to the Steel Wall and the battle in Wildfire Plains. They had experienced so much that they were no longer afraid of death. However, the people from the Cloud Palace were different. Most of them came from Cloud Province and had not experienced many battles with the demon race and Iha Kingdom. If they had, most of them had avoided battles with the defeated crowd. At this moment, the sound of hooves could be heard from afar. It was the cavalry of the valiant Dragon Legion. There were more than 1,000 of them. Under the illumination of the torches, Situ Sen and Situ Shui dismounted from their horses. They rushed over as soon as they received the news. As expected, they were in time for the duel. Situ Shui stood at the side and asked with a smile, Commander, are you full? Lin Muyu knew that this was Feng Jixing's joke. She could not help but laugh and patted her stomach. His Highness set up a banquet at Zhe Tian Palace. I'm very full. Don't worry, my duel with Luo Exin will not last more than 10 moves. Luo Exin was stunned and could not help but fly into a rage. Lin Muyu, aren't you looking down on me too much? Do you think you are invincible just because you defeated some small fries in Lanyan City? Today I, Luo Exin, will let you know that there is always someone better than you. This sentence is for you. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. She waved the stellar sword in her hand and said, Luo Exin, are you ready? If you are, I will make my move. I still have a lot of things to do and have no time to waste with you. Okay, then let's end this quickly. Luo Exin bellowed in a low voice. His purple dragon martial spirit roared towards the sky, summoning lightning from the 9 heavens to descend upon Luo Exion's body. The suppressive might of the domain also spread out, forcing the crowd of spectators to take a few steps back. The stone tiles on the ground shattered under the influence of the lightning. It was a shocking scene. Luo Xian's body was enveloped by the lightning, growling in a low voice. He wanted to raise his strength to 100% before fighting Lin Muyu. However, Lin Muyu did not use much of her battle flame to fight against the domain. Instead, she held her stellar sword tightly and charged into the domain that Luo Xian had activated with her king's battle flame. Starlight suddenly shone brightly as Lin Muyu slashed at Luo Xian's chest cleanly. The starlight was unusually bright. The first strike of the stellar technique. First appearance of starlight. However, Lin Muyu's first appearance of starlight was completely different from Situ Sen's. It was faster and fiercer, and the power was abnormally concentrated. Almost all the star power was gathered on the sword's edge. Luo Xian had never met an opponent like this before. She did not wait for him to finish raising his chi. Moreover, her speed was too decisive. When Luo Xian's iron spear was in front of his chest, the stellar sword had already fallen. Bang! Luo Xian's face turned pale with fright when he heard the deafening screech. The spear was being eroded by the astral power, which almost made him lose his grip on the spear. The next moment, the power of the initial appearance of the astral aura exploded. Luo Xian and his spear were pushed back nearly 5 meters. The ground was full of traces of the astral power. What kind of disparity in strength was this, forcing him back with a single sword strike? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Luo Xian's mind was already in a mess. There was at least a 2-centimeter cut on the handle of the iron spear. If Lin Muyu attacked this part of the spear again, the iron spear would probably be cut in half. Again! Luo Xian shouted, and the purple dragon flew around him at high speed. He raised his long spear, and his body was wrapped in thick lightning. When he was less than 3 meters away, his arm shook, and countless spear lights swept out. Lin Muyu was frighteningly calm. Her left hand lightly opened, and the dragon blood battle shield was instantly formed, blocking Luo Xian's series of attacks. Suddenly, the sound of wind breaking came from behind. It was the tail of the purple dragon sweeping out. This attack was very insidious, and it caught people off guard. But Lin Muyu's spirit pulse art had already seen through it. She waved her sword, and the golden god binding chains circled around the blade, instantly disintegrating the purple dragon's tail. Ha! Luo Xian poured all her strength into her battle flames, and the attacks on the spear became more and more violent. In the blink of an eye, the dragon blood battle shield had become a sieve, and its surface was full of holes. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be shocked. This Luo Xian really was amazing. The strength of the purple dragon was so domineering. No wonder Feng Jixing lost to this kid on an empty stomach. But the moment the dragon blood battle shield shattered, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her left hand, and a dazzling ray of light soared into the sky. In an instant, Luo Xian couldn't open her eyes. All was fair in war. Although Luo Xian had cultivated with her master for many years, her combat experience was simply too immature compared to Lin Muyu. Buzz! Dark energy swirled around her left fist, and strands of ghostly power surged. Lin Muyu closed in, and her left fist shot out like lightning, directly striking the purple dragon battle armor on Luo Xian's abdomen. For Luminary's demon god cry. Bam! After shattering Luo Xian's battle armor with a single strike, Lin Muyu took advantage of the momentum of Luo Xian's retreat and activated falling star steps the moment her feet touched the ground. Her exquisite star steps flashed behind Luo Xian like a bolt of lightning. Bending her body, she lashed out with her right leg, sweeping Luo Xian's legs with the force of an autumn gale sweeping away fallen leaves. With a loud crack, Luo Xian's left leg was most likely broken. Arg! A howl of anguish rang out as Luo Xian determined Lin Muyu's position. He turned around and unleashed a fierce spear strike that was fast and vicious, and he didn't hold back in the slightest. It was a lethal strike. However, Lin Muyu had her sword in hand, and she was able to easily deflect the spear strike with just a gentle wave of her starlight sword. At the same time, she raised her body and launched a powerful elbow strike into Luo Xian's chest. Bam! The suit of battle armor that Luo Xian had condensed in such a short time was unable to withstand the blow, and with a loud crack, countless ribs were broken. Just as his body was less than 30 centimeters away from the ground, Lin Muyu raised her leg and kicked Luo Xian and his spear away as if they were a sandbag. Bam! Luo Xian's breastplate and knee pads were already shattered, and he rolled dozens of meters on the ground with his spear. He lay on the ground in a sorry state, and a mouthful of blood sprayed from his mouth. Young General! Young General! The guards of the Cloud King's mansion were already dumbfounded. Luo Xian, who had astonishingly defeated Feng Jixing in the Zetian Palace, had actually been defeated by Lin Muyu in just 3 moves. Chapter 554. Cough, cough. Luo Xian coughed out another mouthful of blood and laid there in a sorry state. Many of his ribs were broken and his left leg was definitely fractured. Lin Muyu didn't hold back at all and completely wanted him to be bedridden for half a month. After all, Mount Qi had been occupied by the Yunzhong province's army and it was impossible to take it back. They couldn't openly fight each other. Lin Muyu had to vent the anger in her heart. This Luo Xian was really unlucky to have delivered himself to her doorstep. Young General, are you all right? Lin Muyu stepped forward and smiled faintly. Swords have no eyes. It was a life and death struggle just now and I may have used a bit too much force. I hope that young General can forgive me. I have a bottle of top-notch gold sore medicine here. If young General doesn't mind, please accept it. Apply it in the morning and evening and the medicine will cure your illness. This is a first-grade gold sore medicine and it can't be bought on the market. Luo Xian gritted his teeth. The 2 guards of the Yunzhong Wang estate tactfully accepted the bottle and respectfully said, "Many thanks to Marquis Yunling for the medicine." What are you saying? His Highness the Yunzhong Wang is Xiao Yin's maternal grandfather and I am Xiao Yin's sworn brother. In other words, the Yunzhong Wang is also my maternal grandfather. Young General is already my maternal uncle. We are a family and there is no need to be so polite. While a certain person was passionately speaking, Sidushue's beautiful face was expressionless as she said to the Kiliarchs and generals beside her, "These are all internal injuries caused by bone fractures. What's the use of gold sore medicine? You still have to speak so much nonsense. Sir is becoming more and more shameless." The Kiliarchs respectfully nodded and didn't dare to say anything. Situsen clenched his fist and walked forward to punch Lin Muyu's arm. He smiled and said, "Commander, this beating is really satisfying. Let's see if this brat still dares to challenge others and act domineering. He even said that there is always someone better out there. Now he has been beaten up, right?" Lin Muyu said, "Lower your voice. It's not appropriate to speak in front of others." Saying that, he said to a group of Imperial guards, "Hurry up and carry the young general back to the Imperial residence to treat his injuries. What are you all standing here for? Do you want to eat dinner in the Holy Temple?" The guards cupped their fists one after another, and a few of them carried Luo Xian away in a hurry. Situsen raised his hand and laughed. Longdan Army Camp, retreat. Lin Muyu also cupped her fists towards Shenyuan Hong and said, "Great attendant, shall I return to camp?" "All right, you, go ahead," Shenyuan Hong said with a smile. After Lin Muyu and the others left, Gu Yang trembled as he held the scroll. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to defeat Luo Xian in 3 moves. What a surprise." Shenyuan Hong said with a deep look in his eyes, "Yu's fighting style is different from ordinary people. He doesn't stick to one style, and he's just too smart. If not for his martial soul's ability and the use of his moves, I'm afraid the outcome wouldn't have been decided within 30 moves. Just look at how angry Luo Xian is." Gu Yang stroked his white beard with a smile on his face. "Great attendant, Yu's current cultivation. I'm afraid it's far beyond our imagination. You don't know, but Yu's star arts and 7 luminaries' profound energy are the strongest techniques in the world. If he had used the 7 luminaries' stars transformation right from the start, I'm afraid Luo Xian would have been defeated in 1 move." "Yes," Shenyuan Hong nodded. "Let's go, we'll study the dragon forging bone remnant scroll that you left behind. Once we've completely understood it, we'll pass it on to the other experts in the Holy Temple." Yes, great attendant. Xin Yuanhong couldn't help but glance in the direction of the Longdan army camp again. He didn't know when he had started to rely on Lin Muyu so much. This brat had hastily become the great attendant of the Holy Temple, but he had changed the Holy Temple too much. The Cloud King's residence was in chaos. When Luo Exan was carried into the residence, Su Muyun, Su Yu, and the rest were shocked. Looking at the heavily injured Luo Exan, Su Muyun's face was extremely twisted and sinister. Under the illumination of the fire, his eyes were filled with intense anger. Lin Muyu is so ruthless. He actually beat Exan up like this. Damn it. Luo Exan struggled to support his body. His face was filled with guilt. Father, Luo Exan has let you down. I fell for Lin Muyu's trap. If not, I wouldn't have been defeated like this. Su Muyun held his shoulder. Don't say any more. Then rest well. Someone, get the young general of the Imperial Physician Association to treat his injuries and prescribe medicine. Yes. Luo Exan's face was filled with unwillingness. But in the end, it was just as Lin Muyu had said. With his body's recovery level, he would need to lie in bed for at least half a month before he could get out of bed. With a creak, Su Muyun closed the door to Luo Exan's room. However, he realized that the bright moon was hanging high in the sky in the courtyard. He slowly walked to the backyard and sat down on a stone bench. He said lightly, "Someone, heat up a pot of wine for me." "Yes, Your Highness." Not long after, a pot of warm wine was served. Su Yu, who was at the side, poured wine for her father and said, "Father, are you disappointed in brother Luo Exan?" Su Muyun drank the wine in one gulp. His face was expressionless as he said, "I know how strong Luo Exan's cultivation is. He is not much weaker than Lin Muyu. If he wants to blame someone, he can only blame his battle experience for not being as good as Lin Muyu. With a little more training, he will definitely become one of the top experts in Lanyan City. The only thing I hate is Lin Muyu. He clearly knows that Luo Exan is my godson, but he still injured Luo Exan to this extent." Su Yu gently sat on the side and leisurely said, "Then has father ever thought that if Yu really hates you that much, she would have the opportunity to kill Luo Exan and cut off one of father's arms?" This, Su Muyun pondered and said, "He still doesn't have the courage and boldness to do so." Su Yu smiled. How could Lin Muyu, who dared to kill Tang Bin and challenge the demon race's army of 100,000 with only 5,000 people, not dare to kill Luo Exan? Father, you did not kill Luo Exan because of your relationship with Xiao Yin. Otherwise, with his personality, I feel that Luo Exan coming back alive is already a miracle. Perhaps, we should consider whether seizing Mount Qi is worth it. What, are you wavering? Su Muyun looked at his daughter and said, Tang Lan is recruiting soldiers wantonly in the Seven Seas Province and Earthstar Province, ignoring Xiao Yin's military strategy. In just 1 month, Tang Lan has recruited a total of 12,000 people. I'm afraid that in another half a year, Tang Lan's military strength will exceed 400,000. If Tang Lan, who has 400,000 soldiers, intends to rebel and collude with Iha country, will the world still belong to Qin? Su Yu was slightly stunned. Father suspects that Tang Lan will rebel? Nothing is impossible. Su Muyun sucked in a breath and said, the demon race is in the ascendant. According to our intelligence, the demon race has already rebuilt the Qianfeng core. Their number of armor demons has already recovered to around 50,000. Adding on the Thunder Chong core, which has not suffered much damage, as long as the demon race leaves the Lingdong province, I'm afraid there will be another bloodbath. After the defeat in the Wildfire Plains, the Qianfeng will not fall for the trap again. The steel walls will be useless against the demon race's siege weapons. Moreover, once the demon race starts another war, they will definitely set their sights on the entire continent. Their military strength will reach an unimaginable level. Tanglun, Humph, no one knows what he is thinking, but I know that a few high-level demon race members appeared in Seven Seas City not long ago, and coincidentally, Tanglan was in Seven Seas City. Su Yu's beautiful face was filled with shock. Father, you're saying that Tanglan might collude with the demon race to overthrow the empire? Tang Lan's authority in Zetian Palace is declining day by day. In order to preserve his position, he might have done so, but I don't have any solid evidence. In short, we should prepare early. The day the demon race makes a comeback is the day the empire will be reshuffled. Tang Lan will make some moves, and the Iha kingdom in the Lingdong will also make some moves. We must make the best and most complete preparations in advance. Su Muyun sighed and said, we also need to recruit more troops from the several prefectures in the northeast of the Lingdong province. Also, you need to take some time to return to the Cloud province. Father will arrange for you to meet the generals of the dozen or so prefectures in the Cloud province. They are all Father's trusted aides. If there are any changes in the empire, they will all obey orders. Yes, Father, I understand. Su Yu bowed and said, Father, are we doing this to stabilize Xiao Yin's empire? You can say that. At the same time, we will stabilize our Su family's position in the empire. And I understand. At night, Lin Muyu did not slack off on his first night back in Lanyan City. He took a lot of dark steel from Jin Xiaotang and continued to forge weapons. The trip to the Dragon Forest this time was quite fruitful. There were a total of 224 Swift Wolf Spirit Stones from 2,000 to 800 years old. It was enough to forge many spirit and mystery-grade weapons. Moreover, Lin Muyu's understanding of the Heavenly Tomes had also deepened. It was time to forge Heavenly Tomes embryonic weapons in batches. After a busy night, his commander's room was already filled with weapons. After a short rest, he began to write the Heavenly Tomes. Since they were all Wind Spirit Stones, Lin Muyu focused on writing the Heavenly Tomes of the Wind Law. The only Heavenly Tomes of the Wind Law that he knew was the Storm Dragon Spin, inscribed in the Divine Tomes. He had no choice but to simplify the divine text and write a simplified version of the Storm Dragon Spin. To be honest, with Lin Muyu's current cultivation, he could not write the complete version of the Storm Dragon Spin at all. In the afternoon, with a swoosh, an earthy yellow light soared into the sky. At least, many people in the Longdan army camp saw it. Sidu-san drank a cup of wine and looked up. He said, Commander has written another low-grade earthly tomes. Situ Shui raised her eyebrows and smiled. This is already the 5th one this afternoon. Wei Cho reached out and plucked the chicken drumstick from the plate. He said, we must keep this a secret. We cannot let others know that Commander has written so many earthly tomes. Otherwise, there will be many people looking for trouble, especially those masters in the Heavenly Tomes Pavilion. Situ Shui smiled happily. Don't worry. The people around the Commander's tent are all our trusted aides. No one will know about it. And that's good. Drink, drink, drink. Chapter 555. It was late at night, and it was noon the next day. An orange light shot up into the sky from the embryo of the longsword. It was a top-grade spiritual book. Lin Muyu could not remember how many heavenly tomes she had written, but she could feel that Fushi's divine power in her arm was gushing into the heavenly tomes crazily. Every time a heavenly tomes was written, the energy and soul of the writer would be greatly consumed. This was also one of the reasons why heavenly tomes were so rare. Even though Lin Muyu had outstanding strength and a strong soul, she still felt a strong sense of weakness at this moment. Who's on duty? Lin Muyu asked. Sir, it's me. Wei Chao's voice came from the outside. Come in. When Wei Chao pushed the door open and entered, he found a large pile of broken longswords on the ground. On the other side, there was a pile of finished weapon embryos that glowed with different colors. He could not help but be a little surprised. Commander, how many heavenly tomes have you written in total? I don't know. Lin Muyu shook her head and said, Prepare a sumptuous meal for me. I need to replenish my energy. In addition, let General Situ Shui come in and collect these longswords that have been made into books. Count the number of weapons that have been sent into the Longdan army camp's arsenal. Wei Cho was startled and said, logically speaking, these heavenly tomes should be collected into the Heavenly Book Pavilion. It doesn't matter, the Heavenly Book Pavilion does not lack these. Let's bypass the Heavenly Book Pavilion and directly collect them into the arsenal of the Longdan army camp. who can predict the outcome of the war in the future. Naturally, the more weapons we have in our hands, the better. Wei Cho smiled and said, "All right, I understand." Not long after, Sidushui walked in with 3 Kiliarchs. They quietly carried away all the heavenly book embryos and registered them in the warehouse. The officers of the Longdan army camp could claim these weapons as their own weapons. This would greatly increase the combat power of the Longdan army camp. Not long after, Sidushui held a file in her hand and said respectfully, "Commander, a total of 11 local books, 24 spiritual books, and 7 personal books have been recorded in the military warehouse?" Lin Muyu sat tiredly on a chair. The 7 luminaries' immortal gourd and god-binding lock shone brightly around her. The 2 martial souls were greedily absorbing the spirit energy of the world around them to replenish the profound energy that their masters had used. Lin Muyu glanced at Sidushui and smiled. "You've worked hard. You and General Sin can choose one of these embryonic Earthbook swords as your personal sword. It will definitely be much sturdier than your original sword." "Yes, I understand. Thank you very much, Commander." "You're welcome." At this time, Wei Chio walked in again. Behind him were 3 soldiers holding a silver cauldron. The cauldron was steaming hot, and it was filled with freshly made dishes. Lin Muyu invited the 2 subordinates to express that they had already eaten. Thus, Wei Chio began to eat heartily by himself. In the blink of an eye, he had finished 3 cauldrons of dishes and 4 bowls of rice. He patted his belly in satisfaction and said, "All right, you guys can go back to your work. I want to take a good rest. Wake me up if anything happens." "Yes, Commander." "Rest well." After Wei Cho and Sidushui left, Lin Muyu lay down on the bed. After falling asleep, a faint layer of battle flames condensed on the surface of her body, forming a thick layer of battle armor. At the same time, a layer of golden light enshrouded the surface of the battle armor. This was the astral energy generated by the Vajra barrier. Before she knew it, Lin Muyu had already cultivated the 5th stage of the Vajra barrier divine art. In the blink of an eye, it was dark in Lanyan City. A bonfire rose in the Longdan army camp, and the night drill began. The sound of horses' hooves and the collision of long swords became one. On Tongtian Street, pedestrians were in a hurry. It was particularly lonely at night without the night market. It seemed that everyone was just busy with their journey. Except for the sexy singers and dancers on the Flower and Wine Street, almost no one talked. Dang, dang. The bell under the horse's neck gently shook, making a crisp sound. Several people in cloaks entered Lanyan City. Their clothes were not in the style of the imperial capital, but they seemed to be from remote provinces such as Lingdong Province. There were 5 people in total. Under the night light, their eyes shone with a faint purple light. At the same time, they were equipped with swords and sabers at their waists, like wandering mercenaries. The group stopped in front of the Drunken Immortal restaurant and quickly entered the private room upstairs. But they didn't lift the cloaks on their heads from beginning to end. After entering the private room, they immediately closed the door. In the dark corner of the street, a patrolman with a fire sparrow on his chest cupped his fists respectfully and said to the person in the dark, "Lord Shao, that group of people has entered the Drunken Immortal restaurant." The voice of the person in the dark was slightly hoarse, but it was full of energy. He said, "They have been in a hurry since entering the city, and they don't look like people from Lingbei province. Are you sure that the gold coin they left at the city gate is the legendary divine capital coin of the demon race?" The patrolman said, "I can confirm that after defeating the demon race in the Wildfire Plains, the Imperial Army seized a lot of the demon race's spoils of war. Among them, this divine capital coin is very common. I'm very sure that this group of people is most likely a high-level demon race. Even if they aren't, they should be spies among the demon race." Heh. The person in the dark smiled. "That's enough. Prepare your claws and follow me to investigate. I, Xiao Han, would like to know who is secretly colluding with the demon race in Lanyan City." "Sir." The subordinate was ready. Xiao Han, ranked first among the 21 patrolman commanders of the Fire Sparrow Department, was known as the top constable of Lanyan City. He was 28 years old and had a cultivation base of the first level of the Heaven Realm. He was the favorite subordinate of the Fire Sparrow Department's abbot, Zhenggu. Xiao Han had been patrolling the demon race's spies for nearly half a year, and now he had finally found such an important clue. In the darkness of the night, a row of fast horses galloped past on Tongtian Street. Two young men dressed in black robes dismounted and entered the Inn of Drunken Immortal, heading straight for the private room. Under the dim light of the inn's lanterns, the two men's faces were faintly discernible. Their faces were solemn, and the waiter recognized them with a single glance. These two men were the two marquises of the Mansion of the Seven Seas, Marquis of North Ridge, Tang Lu, and Marquis of West Ridge, Tang Tian. As if sensing the waiter's gaze, Tang Lu pulled down the hood of his cloak and said, "Guards, guard the restaurant for me. Prohibit anyone from entering or leaving." Sir. The guards of the Seven Seas Palace, disguised as guards, placed their hands on the hilts of their swords and guarded the entire restaurant. However, no one noticed that in the dark sky, two figures floated down along the iron chains on the hooks and landed on the private room. Xiao Han's skills were exceptional. He landed on the room like a falling leaf without making a sound. The two patrolmen of the Fire Sparrow Department stuck to the room like bats, not making a sound. They also lowered their aura to the minimum. In terms of strength, Xiao Han was only at the first level of the Heaven Realm, but in terms of Qigong and aura control, he was probably at the level of a saint. The door was pushed open. Tang Lu and Tang Tian walked in, looking travel-worn. The 5 high-level devils in the room stood up one after another. One of them cupped his fists and said with a smile, "It's been a long time, Marquises. I'm the commander of the 1st Vanguard Battalion of the God Race, Xianju. These 4 are my colleagues." Tang Lu cupped his fists and said, my apologies, my apologies." Xianju smiled and said, "The food and wine are ready. Let's drink and talk." "All right." The few of them sat down. Tang Lu glanced at the swords hanging on the waists of Xianju and the others. His gaze turned cold and he looked at Tang Tian, hinting him to be careful. But Xianju laughed aloud and said, "The 5 of us entered Lanyan City alone and didn't plan to leave alive. Marquises, you don't have to be so cautious. This tavern is tightly surrounded by your people, and the entire capital is guarded by nearly 200,000 elite troops, including the Dragon's Courage Legion, the Imperial Army, and the Iron Blade Legion. We are already in a desperate situation, so how can we not be frank with each other?" Tang Lu smiled and said, "Lord Xianju is worrying too much. How about we toast first?" "All right." After downing the wine, Xianju and the other demon race generals seemed to have no intention of eating. Looking at Tang Lu and Tang Tian's restless appearance, Xianju couldn't help but smile and said, "Don't worry, we are very cautious in our actions. You two don't have to be so cautious. Tell us, what is the bargaining chip this time? Marshal Qianfeng is waiting for the news." The corner of Tang Lu's mouth rose. He said, "Let's see what the demon race can take out first." Xianju laughed and said, "Marty, you're a straightforward man. I'm impressed. Then I'll be frank with you. We can avoid the areas on the steel walls where the Marquis and Marquis are guarding. At the same time, once the God race enters your territory, we will avoid the Seven Seas Province and Star Earth Province. We won't touch a single soldier of the Tang family." This bargaining chip. Tang Lu grabbed an oily chicken leg and fiercely pulled it down from the chicken's body. He said with a ruthless expression, "Our Tang family is not afraid of death. I think Lord Xianju has misunderstood something." Xianju was startled and seemed to understand something. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "My words have offended you. Please forgive me, Marquis. Since this is the case, our God race can agree to a condition of the Marquis as long as we can do it." "Really?" "Yes." "Very well." Tang Lu placed the half-eaten chicken leg on the plate and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. He said, "I want you to kill someone." Xianju was startled. He couldn't help but narrow his eyes and said with a smile, "Kill someone? If it's Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xiang Yu, the 3 great commanders, forget it. The elders of the God race may not be able to kill the 3 of them." "Don't worry." Tang Lu laughed mischievously. The person I want you to kill won't be too strong, but the demon race must take action. Oh! Xianju looked straight at Tang Lu and asked with a face full of smiles, then, who does the Marquis want to kill that the god race must take action? Tang Lu raised his hand and drank the wine. The wine cup fell heavily on the table and he said with a cold gaze, Governor of Cangnan Province, Lord of Five Valleys City, Su Jiantao. Chapter 556. Su Jiantao. Xianju was stunned. What? You can't do it? Tang Lu faintly smiled. Xianju was silent for a few seconds and then smiled. It's not impossible, but Su Jiantao is Lin Muyu's favorite general and also the governor of one of the 6 provinces of the empire. He has at least 50,000 troops in the Five Valleys City. If we want to kill Su Jiantao, it will take a lot of effort. Marquis, you have to give me a reason why we must kill Su Jiantao, right? Tang Tian was somewhat indignant as he said with a cold face. After Su Jiantao became the governor of the province, he started farming, conscripting, mining, smelting iron, and forging weapons. He turned the resource-rich Cangnan province into the backyard of the Dragon Courage Corps. As long as Su Jiantao doesn't die, the Dragon Courage Corps will become more and more powerful. Could it be that Lord Xianju has forgotten who caused the crushing defeat of the demon race in the Wildfire Plains? Xianju's face turned ugly as he smiled. Marquis Westridge doesn't need to remind me. I will always remember that crushing defeat. However, Su Jiantao is a feudal lord after all. It won't be easy to kill him. Moreover, we will need to use the armor demons. Is that so? Tang Lu raised the corner of his mouth and said with a slightly ferocious smile, then, what if we tell you that Su Jiantao will go to the recruit camp outside the Five Valleys City every 3 days to check the provisions and troops, and that he will bring no more than 500 people with him? Really? Xianju seemed to be a little excited. He stood up and said, if Marquis tells us the exact time and place, it may make it more convenient for us to act. Tang Lu nodded. This is naturally not difficult. Xianju calmed down his excited mood and sat down again, saying, in this case, the god race has already agreed to Marquis Westridge's request. Then what about Marquis Westridge? Will you agree to our request? Tell me, what do the demons want? Xianju narrowed his eyes. It's very simple. We need to know what Lin Muyu is doing and what his Longdan army camp is doing. Our men have received news that the Valiant Dragon Army is developing a new weapon in the Barren Mountains outside Lanyan City, but our men can't get in. So, the 2 marquises must find out what this new weapon is. Tang Tian clenched his teeth. That's preposterous. If your demon race can't find out, do you think we can? Don't go too far. Tang Lu hurriedly pressed his brother's shoulder and said with a smile, Brother Tian, don't be impulsive. Let me talk. As he spoke, Tang Lu cupped his fists toward Xianju and said, I'll naturally send people to investigate this new weapon. Don't worry, sir. If you only have this request, then we can immediately get it done. Don't be anxious, Xianju smiled. How can a piece of information be used to break Lin Muyu's arm? Also, marquises, listen up. We have conditions that we need you to agree to. Tang Lu said indifferently, Speak, Sir Xianju. Xianju smiled, dipped his finger in wine, and drew on the table, saying, The god race is expanding its army and urgently needs a large amount of food. Therefore, the 2 marquises must prepare 50 million jin of food for us within a month. 50 million jin? You must be joking. Tang Lu was startled and said with some anger, You're making things too difficult for us. The empire has been at war for many years, and many people are starving. Where will we get so much food for you? Even if we get it, how will we transport it to you? Xianju smiled. 50 million jin of food might be difficult for others, but it isn't so difficult for the 2 marquises. I heard that one of the largest merchant associations in the imperial capital, the Dragon-Seeking Merchant Association, is backed by your 7-sea monarch residents. If you let the Dragon-Seeking Merchant Association purchase food at a high price, I'm afraid that 50 million jin of food won't amount to much for the affluent North Ridge province and the imperial capital. If it's transportation, it's even simpler. Star Earth province is your Tang family's fief, And there's a tributary of the Rice River that runs from Star Earth Province's Buga City to Winter Ridge Province. There aren't any military inspections or checkpoints along the way. As long as the Tang family hires enough merchant ships, they can easily transport the food to Winter Frost City. At that time, our transaction will be considered complete. Tang Lu narrowed his eyes and said, "Is a mere Su Jiantao worth so much food? It's not worth it." Xianju laughed heartily and took out a map from his bosom. He lightly pointed on the map and said, "This is a prefecture east of the Steel Protective Wall. It's called Qin Tian Prefecture. Our god race's army of approximately 10,000 is garrisoned in Qin Tian Prefecture. If the two marquises don't mind, you can dispatch your troops to attack Qin Tian Prefecture. Marshal Qianfeng will naturally order the Qin Tian Prefecture's garrison to flee in defeat. At that time, the two marquises will recover the empire's lost land. I believe that Her Majesty the Empress will also look favorably upon the two of you, right?" Tang Tian couldn't help but become excited, his entire body slightly trembling. Tang Lu narrowed his eyes and said, "The land in the east of Tsangnan Province will be easily taken away even if we take it back. What's the point?" Xianju sneered. "As long as it can be exchanged for riches and honor, would the Marquis really care about the Empire's territory? Marquis, don't forget that Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing have been overbearing in the imperial capital. Your Tang family has received the cold shoulder. Her Highness Tang Lan is a person of virtue and prestige, but her power has almost declined. Shouldn't your Tang family consider for yourself?" Tang Lu drank a few more cups of wine. His face was flushed red, and he laughed heartily. He laughed so hard that tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes. His palms landed heavily on the table, and he looked at the other party with an ice-cold gaze. "Deal? Or a deal?" Right at this moment, a guard outside suddenly shouted, "Who is it?" A ray of light from the heavenly book pavilion soared into the sky. It was a faint indigo luster. It was actually a low-grade heavenly book. However, because this faint luster was too close, it illuminated the upper floor of the wine shop, causing the hiding place of Xiao Han and his subordinates to be discovered. A few guards of the Seven Seas Palace immediately raised their blades and rushed over. "We've been exposed, my lord." The young patrolman's face was ashen. "It's fine, follow me." Xiao Han, on the other hand, was much calmer. With a leap, he evaded the line of sight of the guards. His body was like a dancing swallow as he floated into a private room in the wine shop. Inside the private room were 4 mercenaries who were drinking. When they saw Xiao Han enter, they immediately turned pale with fright. "Who are you?" Xiao Han lifted his cloak, revealing the insignia of Flame Lord. He said in a low voice, "I am the first commander of Flame Lord, Xiao Han. Immediately pretend to know me and drink here, or Flame Lord will make sure your heads roll." Yes, the mercenaries had all heard of Xiao Han's name. After all, the first patrolman of Lanyan City was a nightmare for many criminals. Mercenaries, on the other hand, were people who lived on the edge of a knife, so they naturally had a lot of contact with Flame Lord. The 2 patrolmen quickly sat down and took the wine glasses and chopsticks from the side. Xiao Han picked up the wine pot and took a big gulp. His mouth reeked of alcohol, and he grabbed the food in the copper cauldron and stuffed it into his mouth, until his face was greasy. At this moment, the door of the private room was kicked open with a bang. 4 guards of the 7 Sea King's mansion, who were disguised as guards, looked inside angrily and shouted, "Did you see anyone come in?" No. One of the mercenaries said in a trembling voice. Xiao Han glanced at him. At this moment, Tang Lu and Tang Tian also appeared at the door. Tang Sect untied the belt of his cloak and looked inside coldly. "What's going on?" The guard said, "Marquis, we saw someone jump over the stairs and disappear, so we chased after him. I'm afraid the assassin is in this private room." "Is that so?" Xiao Han laughed coldly and cupped his fists. "Your subordinate is the first commander of the Fire Sparrow Division, Xiao Han. Greetings to North Ridge Marquis and West Ridge Marquis. I've been drinking with a few friends here for a long time. I didn't know that you 2 Marquis were here. I wonder who you 2 Marquis are looking for when you kicked open the door." So it's Master Xiao Han from the Fire Sparrow Division? Tang Tian smiled lightly. Then there's nothing else. Please continue drinking, I'll be going back. Farewell, Mar. Oomph. Tang Lu snorted coldly and turned to leave. Tang Tian hurriedly chased after him and whispered, Brother, did someone hear our negotiation? Could it be this Xiao Han? Tang Lu's gaze was cold. There's still frost on Xiao Han's cloak. What did he mean by drinking for a long time? Ridiculous. Then why didn't we kill him? There are too many people here. Besides, he might not have heard anything. Moreover, Xiao Han's cultivation is extremely high. We might not be his match, and the demons have left. Then what about Xiao Han? Find a chance to make him disappear from this world. Yes. Inside the wine shop, Xiao Han opened the window and said, Let's go. The young patrolman was startled. We're leaving through the window? Quick, if you don't want to die here and be silenced. The two of them leaped down the stairs like flying swallows and quickly disappeared into the darkness. However, none of them noticed that there were two ghost-like shadows following them in the night. The official alley, one of the streets of Lan Yen City's Flower and Wine Street. It was already late at night, and there were only a few drunkards and the laughter of dancers coming from afar. The Flower and Wine Street was a place for the rich and nobles to enjoy themselves. They lived a life of luxury, as though the war to the east of Chang'an Province and the south of Qinling Mountains had nothing to do with them. Xiao Han and his subordinates were flying through Guanren Alley when they suddenly felt a scorching heat at the back of their heads. Shockingly, a firefox seal appeared in the palm of an expert and directly blasted over. It was the masked Tang Lu. Oh my God! Xiao Han hurriedly turned around and unsheathed his sword to block. However, he only felt his chest heat up. He was unable to block the firefox seal's sharpness. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. No one knew that Tang Lu had unknowingly stepped into the Heavenly King realm. Lord Xiao. The young patrolman turned pale with fright. However, he felt his back heat up and a fiery red palm stretched out from his chest. Tang Tian's expression was cold as he said, You must die. Xiao Han's face was ashen. Leaning on his broken sword, he staggered towards the Flower and Wine Street. You still want to leave? Tang Lu and Tang Tian chased after him like the king of hell. Xiao Han's consciousness was a little chaotic. After running a few more steps, he heard someone's voice. Big brother whore, you really drank too much today. Little brother whore, you're the one who drank too much. I'm only half drunk. I, Zhang Wei, have roamed the brothel for dozens of years. When have I really been drunk? It's a pity that Lord Commander doesn't allow the Imperial Army officers to stay outside the camp. Otherwise, I'll definitely make that little fox Peach want to die tonight. Big brother whore, look, there's a fire in front. You must have seen wrongly. Oh my God, there's really a fire. There's even someone. Who is it? How dare such an ugly person run around in the middle of the night? Big brother whore, it's someone from Fire Sparrow Division. It seems to be Xiao Han. Should we save him? Yes, big brother whore, you go first. Damn it, you two thieves, stop right there. Watch this daddy's fiery soul fist. Chapter 557. Wang. A fiery red and enormous profound energy fist shot into the sky and headed straight for Tang Tian and Tang Lu, and it shocked Tang Lu to the point he hurriedly swung his palm and used the firefox seal to deal with this attack. In truth, Zhang Wei was only at the heaven realm, so he wasn't that terrifying. However, what Tang Lu was most afraid of was the fact that Zhang Wei was actually wearing the armor of a vice-commander of the Imperial Guard. This fellow was simply too daring. He was the first person to wear a military uniform to PC, but it was this armor that scared Tang Lu so much that he couldn't kill him anymore. Killing a deputy commander-level general in the imperial capital was a huge crime. It was probably not as simple as killing a mere Xiao Han. Furthermore, Zhang Wei was Feng Jixing's favorite general and had a good relationship with Lin Muyu. Once this matter was pursued, it would be even more troublesome. Pulling out the carrot would bring out the mud. No matter how stupid Tang Lu was, he would still understand this logic. After exchanging glances, Tang Lu and Tang Tian leaped up successively onto a nearby house and vanished into the veil of night in the blink of an eye. Don't go, you two. Stay here and fight with me for 300 rounds. Zhang Wei's fists were enshrouded in raging flames. As he waved his fists, flames shot up into the sky. He looked like a ferocious tiger, but he couldn't stand steadily and fell to the ground. Xiao Han covered the burn wound on his chest and said gratefully, "Thank you, General, for saving me." Zhang Wei helped Xiao Han up and said, "Nonsense. Why are you so polite? You are from the Fire Sparrow Division. I saved you, so you must treat me to wine. I want the courtesan lady." All right then. Xiao Han didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Zhang Qing walked forward and cupped his fists. "Lord Xiao Han, do you still remember me? Aren't you the Temple's Silver Star instructor Zhang Qing? That's me. I just happened to walk here after drinking with my cousin Zhang Wei. Lord Xiao Han, why are you being chased? Who are those two people?" Xiao Han knew the importance of this matter and shook his head. "I also don't know. The imperial capital has been getting more and more restless recently." Zhang Qing helped Zhang Wei up and said, "I will accompany cousin to the imperial army's camp. Lord Xiao Han, do you want to go with us? I'm afraid we might meet some danger along the way." "I won't." Xiao Han waved his hand and said, "This place is only a few steps away from the Fire Sparrow Division. Don't worry, Xiao Han will definitely visit you too to thank you for saving my life." "You're too polite." Zhang Cheng supported Zhang Wei as they slowly left, while Xiao Han quickly disappeared into the darkness of the Flower Wine Street. After crossing a street, they would reach the main hall of the Flamecracks Division. At this time, the main door of the Flamecracks department was still wide open. When a commander-level patrolman went out to patrol, the Flamecracks department was usually guarded throughout the night. However, when a group of patrolmen saw the injured Xiao Han walking towards them, they couldn't help but be shocked. "Sir Xiao, what happened to you? Who hurt you?" "I'm fine." Xiao Han shook his head and asked, "Is Lord Abbot asleep?" "Not yet." "Bring me to see the Lord Abbot." Behind a row of steel fences, light shone through the window. A patrolman knocked on the door and said in a low voice, "Lord Jing, Commander Xiao Han requests an audience." "Xiao Han?" Jing Gu held a cultivating heart scripture in his hands. After putting down the scripture, he said, "Let Xiao Han come in." A group of patrolmen stood outside the door. Xiao Han pushed the door open and entered. Most of the clothes on his chest had been burned away, revealing the soft armor underneath. He looked a little embarrassed as he cupped his hands and said, "Sir, I'm back." Jinggu frowned. "Xiao Han, what happened? Who dared to injure the commander of the Flamecracks department in the capital city? This is simply disregarding the laws of the country. Speak, who is it?" Xiao Han didn't answer the question. He smiled and said, "Sir, compared to the news I received, this injury is nothing." "What?" Jinggu said in a low voice, "You've made any progress in your patrol?" "Yes, this subordinate found 5 high-level demons in the tavern, but unfortunately, we didn't bring enough people, so we weren't a match for the demons at all. Moreover, the people who conspired with the demons had already found me and Sunhee. Sunhee died in the line of duty, and this subordinate's injuries were also caused by the conspirators." "This," Zhenggu said lightly, "who would be so daring as to secretly meet with the demons in Lanyan City? And dare to kill the patrolman of the Flamecracks department in Lanyan City? It's the people of the Seven Seas Palace." Xiao Han took a deep breath and said, "The Marquis of North Ridge, Tang Lu, Marquis of West Ridge, Tang Tim. My injury was caused by Tang Lu, and Sunhee was killed by Tang Tian himself." "What? The people of the Seven Seas Palace?" Jinggu suddenly trembled, and his body seemed to fall uncontrollably into the chair. "Sir." Xiao Han looked at Jinggu and was slightly disappointed. He said, "Sir, you can't be lenient just because they are powerful. At this time, the fate of the Empire is at stake. We, the Flamecracks department, live off the king's salary and receive the king's grace. Now is the time to serve the country. I heard clearly that Tang Lu and Tang Tian were conspiring with the demons. the Seven Seas Palace King, Tanglon, must also be involved. Please grant me the Flamecrack's order so that I can continue to investigate this matter. Flamecrack's order? Zheng Gu looked a little dejected. No, this matter can't be continued. Otherwise, the implications will get bigger and bigger, and it will affect the country. If we don't continue to investigate, the country will really be affected. Xiao Han said indignantly, Sir, do you know what they are plotting? I don't need to know, Zheng Gu said faintly. Xiao Han was stunned. You are the abbot of the Flamecrack's department, and you are in charge of the laws of the empire. How can you say such things? They are conspiring to assassinate the chief executive of Tsangnan province, Su Jiantao. Once Su Jiantao is killed, Tsangnan province is bound to fall into chaos, and the eastern gate of the empire will be lost to the demons. I know. Zheng Gu looked at him deeply and said, Xiao Han, you should also understand how powerful the Seven Seas Palace King, Tanglon, is. If we rush to deal with him now, I'm afraid it will be like a rabbit jumping over a wall. The Seven Seas Province and the Earth Star Province will attack Lingbei Province from the north and south. What will happen to Lanyan City then? Can the Longdan Army camp and the Imperial Guards protect Lanyan City and Her Highness? As he said this, Zheng Gu gently patted Xiao Han's shoulder and said, Go and rest first. I will consider this matter. Don't worry, bad people will eventually get their retribution. Son, he will not die in vain. Then, all right, someone, send Commander Xiao Han back to his room to rest and recuperate. Yes. As soon as Xiao Han left, another commander-level officer came in and cupped his fists. Sir. Zheng Gu's eyes were cold. Send someone to imprison Xiao Han. Don't let him step out of his room. Yes. After midnight, another group of people appeared at the entrance of the Flamecrack's department. An old man in a cloak covered his face in a luxurious carriage walked into the Flamecrack's department, followed by a forest of guards. What's wrong with our Flamecrack's department today? One of the guards was shocked. It's like a busy market with people coming and going. It's really lively. Who knows? Let's not ask about the matters of the upper echelons lest we get implicated. Well, you're right. Is that old man who just went in, His Highness the Seven Seas King, Tanglon? I told you not to ask, Stinky S13. In the depths of the Flamecrack's department, a guard hurried to Zheng Gu's residence and knocked on the door. Sir, His Highness the Seven Seas King is here. Zheng Gu was stunned. Quick, quick, invite His Highness to the front hall to serve tea. I'll be right there. No, His Highness said to meet here. Then, all right then. When Tanglon stepped into Zheng Gu's residence, he waved his hand and dismissed the guards, leaving only him and Zheng Gu in the room. Subordinate Zheng Gu, the abbot of the Flamecrack's department, greets Your Highness. Zheng Gu hurriedly bowed and said, May I know why Your Highness is visiting so late at night? Tanglon didn't say anything. He walked forward and picked up the teapot to pour some water, but the water quickly overflowed and steam splashed everywhere. Zheng Gu was at a loss. Your Highness, the water is full. Yes, the water is full. Tanglon smiled faintly. A cup can only hold so much water, and a Flamecrack's department can only manage so many things. If it manages too much, the water will inevitably overflow. Zheng Gu knew what Tanglon was implying. He cupped his fists and said, If Your Highness has something to say, just say it. Forgive me for being slow-witted. Tanglon slowly sat down on the chair, holding the overflowing tea. The tea kept splashing out and landing on his robes, but he was unmoved. He took a sip and smiled. The tea of the Flamecrack's department is really bitter. Zheng Gu was a little embarrassed. The Flamecrack's department is a limitless yamen. Naturally, it can't be compared to the Imperial Residence's tea, limitless yamen? Tanglon couldn't help but smile. He looked at the cold moon outside the window and said, A year ago, when the Minister of Revenue was investigated, there was an ownerless account with a total of 1,240,000 gold coins. Does Lord Zheng Gu still remember? This account seems to have been investigated by Lord Zheng Gu, but in the end, it disappeared without a trace. He only killed a mere patrolman to punish him. I also heard that Lord Jinggu has 3 villas in the Heaven's Pivot province. They are incomparably rich and luxurious. Is this all true? Jinggu couldn't help but sweat profusely. Your Highness, these are all true. If it's true, then the Flamecracks department is not a limitless yamen. Tang Lan laughed heartily and stepped forward to help the trembling Jinggu up. Sir Jinggu, no man is a saint. Everyone has their own selfish motives. Who doesn't do this for the sake of a better life for their family? Sigh, my 2 useless grandsons, Tang Lu and Tang Tian, seem to have caused trouble for this old man again. I'll have to trouble Lord Jinggu with this matter. Jinggu was silent. Tang Lan smiled again. He took out a thick stack of gold notes and placed it on the table. He said, "The weather is getting cold. Take these gold coins as a coat for the officers of the Flamecracks department. I'm tired. Lord Jinggu, you don't have to transport them." Jinggu knelt on the ground and trembled. Although it was winter, he was drenched in cold sweat. Chapter 558. The next morning, during the Imperial Court Assembly. As if it had become a habit, Lin Muyu would wake up early every Imperial Court Assembly. After washing up, he would bring Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui, Feng Shi, and the others to Zhe Tian Hall. The spring breeze in January already brought with it a wisp of warmth. The annual Spring Plowing Festival was not far away. In the past, Lin Muyu did not care about the production of grain, but now it was not a normal relationship. He would always calculate the grain output of the various provinces from the Ministry of Revenue and calculate the grain consumption of every army in the empire. Now, his biggest wish was for the weather to be good this year and for the empire's land to produce more grain. As long as there was enough grain for the army, perhaps the empire would take the initiative to send troops this year. After all, he had a trump card in his hands, the magic crystal cannon. It was not the first or second day that the Zine Flower Chamber of Commerce had been purchasing magic crystals in large quantities. The news from Qin Xiling was that the development and improvement of the magic crystal cannon had reached about 70% progress. In just a few more months, the technology of this weapon would mature. Once the magic crystal cannon was mass-produced, the Empire's army would gain the upper hand in the war. From afar, Feng Jixing walked over with Zhang Wei, Xiahou Sang, Luo Yu, and the others. He smiled and said, "What have you been up to recently? I couldn't even find you for a drink." "Busy inscribing the heavenly book." Lin Muyu answered truthfully. Another heavenly book." Feng Jixing was brave, but he seemed to be slightly biased against the heavenly book. He said with a taboo tone, "Did you know that someone wrote a lower-grade heavenly book last night? And it was someone from the Heavenly Book Pavilion." Lin Muyu was slightly stunned. This person should be the first person to write a heavenly book in Lanyan City, right? He had the divine book, but he could not write a heavenly book of the heavenly book level. This person actually wrote a heavenly book. It seemed like his aptitude and comprehension were above his. Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Is it Manager Ji Lin?" Feng Jixing shook his head. "It would be great if it was Ji Lin. The bad thing is that the person who wrote the lower-grade heavenly book is actually the kid from the Lu residence, that person called Lu Feng." As he spoke, Feng Jixing clenched his fists and said, "Lu Feng has been fantasizing about Her Royal Highness. You should know that. This time, he has written the heavenly book. I wonder how arrogant he will be. Doesn't that mean that he's going to be the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion?" Lin Muyu asked. "I don't know. We'll find out in court today. Let's go, it's almost time to go to court." "Yes." In the spacious main hall of Zhe Tian Palace, the civil and military officials were divided into 2 sides. The military officials were Feng Jixing, Xiang Yu, Lin Muyu, Su Yu, and so on. The civil officials were Tang Lan and Su Mun, standing side by side, followed by Zhen Yifan, followed by the 6 ministers. These 3 people's status in the imperial court was evident. Behind the 6 ministers were the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, Ji Lin, and Prince Zhong of the Prince Zhong's residence, Qin Yong. What was different was that the person standing behind Ji Lin was not Lu Yen, Ouyang Ping, or the other masters of the Heavenly Book family, but the young Lu Feng. At this time, Lu Feng naturally looked like he was riding on the crest of success. He was dressed in the white robes of the Heavenly Book Pavilion and looked handsome and refined. At this time, a group of female officials surrounded Qin Yin, who was wearing a golden empress robe, and walked to the front hall. Qin Yin held Tang Xiaoxi's hand and arranged a seat next to the emperor's throne. Just like that, Tang Xiaoxi sat there. What's going on? Feng Jixing looked up at Tang Xiaoxi with a puzzled expression. Lin Muyu was also a little confused. She had never seen such a scene before. Tang Xiaoxi seemed to see the confusion of Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and the others. She just smiled sweetly and didn't say anything. After all, this was the imperial court. Solemnity, tension, unity, liveliness, and so on were ancient teachings that couldn't be disobeyed. Tang Lan, who was more experienced, stepped forward and cupped her fists. "Your Highness, why is Xiaoxi?" Qin Yin smiled faintly and said, "Don't be surprised, 7C King. I was about to announce it. Come, summon her." The female official, Shengguan Jingyue, walked forward with the golden imperial edict in her hand. After unfolding it, she said in a clear voice, "In accordance with the emperor's decree, Tang Xiaoxi is well-educated and reasonable. She is considerate of the overall situation and has saved the empire from disaster. She is specially conferred the title of princess who supports the nation and bestowed the sword seal. If the emperor can't decide, princess who supports the nation can decide on her own." Princess who supports the nation? Feng Jixing was startled and couldn't help but laugh. "Your Highness is really different. In the past, it's always the older officials who are conferred the title of princess who supports the nation, but Your Highness actually conferred the title of princess who supports the nation at such a young age. However, it seems that no one is more suitable than Princess Shi." Lin Muyu nodded. At this moment, Tang Xiaoxi had already stood up to express her gratitude and took the sword seal from Qin Yin's hands. In this way, Tang Xiaoxi's power and status in the empire had already faintly surpassed Tang Lan and Su Muyun. This must be another move that Qin Yin thought of to keep the two great feudal vassals in check. Tang Lan couldn't say anything, so she took a few steps back and stood beside Su Muyun. Su Muyun remained silent and didn't say a word. He only looked at Lin Muyu with a different expression. Half of it was helplessness and the other half was resentment. Su Muyun hated that Lin Muyu couldn't be used by him, but he was helpless because his godson Luo Xion's cultivation was still not as good as Lin Muyu's. He couldn't make Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and the other empress's forces submit to him in terms of martial arts. A few minutes later, Ji Lin, the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, stepped out and bowed respectfully. "Your subject, Ji Lin, is here to report to Your Highness. I have a piece of great news." Qin Yin smiled faintly. "What good news does the manager have?" Both of Ji Lin's arms were slightly trembling as he said excitedly, "The second young master of the Lu residence, young master Lu Feng, is indeed an outstanding talent in the empire. He is exceptionally talented and outstanding. Last night, he actually wrote a low-grade heavenly book. The embryo of the heavenly book is here. Please examine it, Your Highness." He respectfully raised both of his arms and put down the jade tablet in his hand. He took out a white and lustrous jade hook and said, "This is the embryo of the heavenly book." The jade hook was a tool that the nobles used to hook their belts when they wore loose embroidered robes. In reality, only the rich or nobles would use this kind of fragile artifact as an everyday item. As for generals like Feng Jixing and Lin Muyu, their belts were all specially made from animal skin, which was sturdy and easy to use. The jade hook glowed with a faint flame. This was a low-grade heavenly book of the law of fire. Shengguan Jingyue walked forward and took the jade hook. Then, she turned around and handed it over to Qin Yin. Qin Yin only stretched out her hand and touched it lightly. Immediately, a fiery red divine rune appeared on the jade hook. It was scorching hot. She couldn't help but smile. The power of heaven and earth is indeed vigorous. Congratulations to young Master Lu Feng for entering the ranks of the Heavenly Book Pavilion's heavenly scholars. Zetian Palace will naturally reward you. Men, take this embryo away and put it into the Heavenly Book Pavilion according to the rules. Yes, Your Highness. Qin Yin smiled sweetly at the officials and said, Lords, young Master Lu Feng is the first genius to write a heavenly book. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to reward him? Su Muyun cupped his fists and said, Lu Feng wrote the highest grade heavenly book. Logically speaking, he should enter the Heavenly Book Pavilion and become its master. The current manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, Ji Lin, was from the Seven Seas province. He was also Tang Lan's subordinate. Naturally, Su Muyun hoped that someone would replace him. A trace of surprise flashed across Ji Lin's face. However, he didn't show it and only stood silently on the spot. If Qin Yin really stripped him of his position as the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, he wouldn't have any complaints. Who asked the Lu residents to have such a genius like Lu Feng? However, unexpectedly, Lu Feng stepped out of the ranks. He held the jade tablet and knelt on both knees. Your Highness, Lu Feng is only a mediocre person. The reason why I can write a low-grade heavenly book is because I admire Your Highness. Lu Feng doesn't want any title. I only hope that Your Highness can grant Lu Feng a chance to have a meal with Your Highness alone. I hope that Your Highness will not refuse. As he spoke, he bowed deeply and bowed deeply. Feng Jixing couldn't help sighing inwardly. This Lu Feng was really throwing caution to the wind. Was he willing to give up the title of Marquis just for a kiss? Many of the generals were already furious. Zhang Wei, Wei Chou, Sidusin, and the others knew that Lin Muyu and Qin Yin were already lovers. Now that Lu Feng was pestering them, it was truly infuriating. In the end, Wei Chou, the vice-commander of the Dragon's Courage Legion, stepped out of the ranks and cupped his fists respectfully. Your Highness, Wei Chou has something to say. Qin Yin couldn't help but smile. She raised her hand and said, General Wei, please speak your mind. Wei Chou said, the Heavenly Book Pavilion is the Empire's Heavenly Book Realm's Mount Tai and the North Star of the Empire. It is a place that accepts famous scholars from all over the world. However, the Heavenly Book Pavilion has always existed for the Zetian Palace. Everyone in the Heavenly Book Pavilion is Your Highness's subjects. They receive the Emperor's salary and the Emperor's grace. Writing a heavenly book is also the subject's business. If someone were to threaten Your Highness with a mere low-grade heavenly book and force Your Highness to be alone with him, this general believes that such a person has evil intentions and should be executed for overstepping his boundaries. As he spoke, Wei Chou knelt on one knee and said, This subject requests the golden armored warriors to go to the palace and drag Lu Feng out to be beheaded in public. Lin Muyu was stunned. She felt extremely gratified in her heart. She didn't expect Wei Chou to say such words that no one could refute. Situ Sin touched his nose and laughed in a low voice. Wei Chou, this brat really has guts. What he said simply touched the bottom of my heart. Situ Shue chuckled and didn't say anything. Qin Yin was slightly stunned. Although she agreed with what Wei Chou said, she was the emperor after all. If she really killed Lu Feng, wouldn't it disappoint the hearts of the scholars in the world? Thus, she looked at Tang Xiaoxi for help. Tang Xiaoxi smiled as she stood up and said, Although Lu Feng's words and actions have overstepped his boundaries, the Empress is benevolent and won't fuss over it with you. Lu Feng, listen to the announcement. Because you wrote a heavenly book, the Empress will confer you the title of Marquis when you will be rewarded with 5,000 gold coins. Lu Feng's body trembled. He was somewhat unwilling, but there was nothing he could do. He could only respectfully say, Lu Feng accepts the decree. I thank the Empress for her kindness. Tang Xiaoxi looked at Lu Feng from afar. A trace of displeasure flashed past her beautiful eyes as she smiled and said, Lu Feng, you have to remember that Her Highness is your subject and ruler. Her Highness will only be alone with the man she likes. It's a pity that it's not you. Don't force it. Otherwise, the crime of deceiving the ruler will exterminate your entire family. Do you understand? I will remember. Lu Feng nodded repeatedly. At the side, the Lu residence's patriarch, Lu Yen, the eldest son, Lu Heng, and the youngest daughter, Lu Ying, turned pale. No one expected that writing a low-grade heavenly book would cause such big trouble. Lin Muyu finally understood the painstaking efforts of Qin Yin to confer Tang Xiaoxi the title of Fu Guojunju. The empress was benevolent and some words couldn't be said. Therefore, it was up to Tang Xiaoxi to say it. One played the good cop and the other played the bad cop. This was the only way to win the hearts of the people. Unknowingly, Qin Yin's imperial skills seemed to have improved. Chapter 559. Creak. After pushing open the door, he saw a group of patrolmen standing there with serious expressions and swords in their hands. There were even 3 commanders among them. Xiao Han was an astute person. He said, "Lord Jinggu, are you trying to imprison me?" One of the commanders cupped his fists and said with a smile, "We are only following orders. Please forgive us, Lord Xiao Han. I believe that Lord Abbot has his reasons. Please rest here for 3 to 5 days, and you should be released from your confinement." 3 to 5 days? Xiao Han frowned. Do you know that in 3 to 5 days, Sangnan province will change? Get out of the way, I want to see Jinggu. Xiao Han. The commander's face was filled with rage as he said, "Don't forget who you are. A mere patrol commander dares to address the Lord by his name? Do you think you can act arrogant just because you're capable in handling cases? Stay here, or don't blame us for being impolite. We are colleagues, we don't want to have a falling out with you." Xiao Han raised his eyebrows and suppressed his anger with difficulty. He cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Commander Fong, I would like to ask you to do something for me." "What is it?" "Speak." Fong Zun looked arrogant. "I want you to help me pass a message to the Valiant Dragon Legion. Tell them that I, Xiao Han, have something important to tell Commander Yu. You know people from the army?" Fong Zun couldn't help but sneer. "It's too late. Master has already said that you are not allowed to interact with anyone from the outside world. Xiao Han, just give up and stay here. Don't try to play any tricks, or you'll just be asking for trouble." Xiao Han clenched his fists, fighting chi swirled around his body and a gust of wind blew. "Xiao Han," Fong Zun said cautiously, "are you trying to rebel?" The group of patrolmen pulled out their swords, some even pointed their crossbows at Xiao Han as if they were facing a great enemy. As long as Xiao Han made a move, they would definitely attack. After all, Xiao Han was the #1 arrester of the Fire Sparrow Division, so they had to be on guard. Sigh. Xiao Han sighed and loosened his fist. His eyes were filled with disappointment as he looked at the crowd and said, "You are all patrolmen of the Fire Sparrow Division, yet you can't tell right from wrong. What a misfortune for the Empire. Fine, all of you can stand guard outside." Xiao Han sat in his room in a daze. His heart was filled with a myriad of emotions. Unwillingness and indignation filled his heart. Not long after, a chirp 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 sound suddenly came from the windowsill. A small fiery red sparrow appeared on the windowsill. Suddenly, Xiao Han was startled and became overjoyed. "Fire sparrow, great, it's a fire sparrow." The fire sparrow was a type of bird that could track its target by smell. It was precisely because of this special ability that the Empire had regarded it as a great help in investigating cases for thousands of years. It was also because of this that the Fire Sparrow Division was called the Fire Sparrow Division. However, the number of fire sparrows was too small. There were no more than 20 fire sparrows in the entire Lanyan city. The price of a Fire Sparrow Division was so high that a single Fire Sparrow Division was sold for 100,000 Jinin coins. As the #1 arrester of the Fire Sparrow Division, Xiao Han was naturally given a fire sparrow. This fire sparrow would come to find Xiao Han once a day, and the rest of the time, it would roam outside looking for food, maintaining its natural wild nature. "Huiyu, you're here, come quickly." Xiao Han raised his arm, and the fire sparrow immediately flew and landed on Xiao Han's arm, jumping up and down happily. Xiao Han had raised this fire sparrow for 3 years, and they had a good relationship. Now that Xiao Han was imprisoned here, seeing the fire sparrow again made him feel especially moved. He thought for a moment, then thought about what he had on him. There was a faint smell of alcohol on his palm. It was the smell that Zhang Wei had left behind last night. So, Xiao Han moved his palm in front of the fire sparrow and said, "Hui Yu, smell this." Chirp, chirp. The fire sparrow raised its small head, sniffed and chirped. "Help me pass a letter to him." Xiao Han turned around, took out a brush and ink, and wrote on a small piece of paper, "Master Zhang Wei, I am the Fire Sparrow Division's Xiao Han that you saved last night. Please inform Commander Yu of the Dragon's Courage Legion that Tang Lu and Tang Tian's secret meeting last night was discovered by me. They were planning to assassinate Songnan Province's chief executive, Su Jiantao. Xiao Han has already been imprisoned in the Fire Sparrow Division. I hope Master Zhang Wei can help me pass the message." After writing a few short sentences, he tied it to the fire sparrow's leg. This was Xiao Han's only hope. He gently caressed the fire sparrow's feathers and said in a low voice, "Hui Yu, the future of Songnan Province depends on you. Go." Chirp, chirp. The fire sparrow leaped up and flew out at a strange angle. Outside the window, a few Fire Sparrow Division patrolmen watched as the fire sparrow flew out. One of them immediately raised his crossbow and said, "Xiao Han wants to use the fire sparrow to send a message outside? Bastard." However, a commander-level patrolman quickly pressed down on his crossbow and said, "You're crazy, you even dare to kill the fire sparrow. Stop right now. Do you know the value of this fire sparrow?" But Master Abbot said that we can't let Xiao Han divulge any information." "Damn it, just pretend you didn't see this fire sparrow and everything will be fine." "Yes, Master." The commander raised his head to look at the direction in which the fire sparrow had flown and couldn't help but sigh. He turned to his subordinates and said, "You all didn't see anything. If anyone dares to divulge this matter, I will definitely exterminate his entire family." All the patrolmen cupped their fists and said, "Yes, Master." In the main camp of the Imperial Army, the shouts of training pierced through the sky. Rows and rows of cavalry galloped back and forth, while the infantry and shield soldiers in the training field rapidly changed their battle formations. On the viewing platform, Feng Jixing, Zhang Wei, Luo Yu and the other generals squinted their eyes at the flying dust in front of them. Although they couldn't clearly see the changes in the battle formation, they all became complacent. "The next time we meet the demons, how many armor demons can these 40,000 Imperial Army stop?" Luo Yu asked with a smile. Feng Jixing held the hilt of his saber and said with a smile, "If it was before the battle at Wildfire Plains, I have the confidence to resist 30,000 armor demons with this Imperial Army. However, after the battle at Wildfire Plains, Qian Feng is also training his combat skills. At the same time, he has also equipped the armor demons with better weapons, armors, and shields. It would be good if this Imperial Army could resist 20,000 armor demons." Zhang Wei was stunned. "Our Imperial Army's training and battle strength can be counted as one of the best in the Empire, but this can only stop 20,000 demons? Never underestimate the battle strength of the armor demons," Feng Jixing said after taking a deep look at him. At this moment, a bird's chirp suddenly came from the sky. A fiery red bird followed a special scent and flew toward Zhang Wei. It actually landed on Zhang Wei's shoulder and jumped up and down. "Damn, even a sparrow dares to bully me." Zhang Wei raised his hand and slapped it, saying, "Little bird, you found the wrong person. My bird is much more majestic than you. Hurry up and scram, or else I'll use you to accompany my wine tonight." "Wait." Feng Jixing hurriedly stopped and said, "Idiot, can't you see that this is a fire sparrow? It's the Fire Sparrow Division's Fire Sparrow Division. There's a letter tied to its leg. Hurry up and take it down to take a look." "Yes, Commander." Luo Yu went forward and grabbed the fire sparrow. After taking off the letter, the fire sparrow flew away. Luo Yu then respectfully handed the letter to Feng Jixing. Feng Jixing looked at the letter, and the more he read, the uglier his expression became. He raised his head and looked at Zhang Wei. "You went to the red light district to drink again last night?" But Zhang Wei was sweating profusely. He did not know how to explain himself. Feng Jixing glared at him and said, "I'll deal with you later." "Bastard Zhang Wei, Did you save a Fire Sparrow Division commander called Xiao Han last night? I think so. Zhang Wei scratched his head and said, Then who was the one who chased after Xiao Han last night? I think it was someone with a flame imprint. Maybe someone from the Tang family, Zhang Wei said. Please forgive me, Commander. I didn't dare to mention this to you because I was afraid you would scold me again. Feng Jixing opened his throat and roared, You don't know what's good for you. Tell me when I don't scold you. Reporting to Commander, You scold him every day. Luo Yu said respectfully. Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and walked down the observation platform. He said, Come, follow me to the Longdan army camp to see you. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The spiritual pen was waving slowly on a long sword, writing an obscure divine text. Lin Muyu's forehead was full of sweat. His handsome face was full of indignation. If Lu Feng could write a heavenly book, then he could also write a heavenly book if he had the right time and place. On the side, Chu Yao was brewing tea. She said with a smile, You don't rush. Write slowly. I heard that the heavenly book is about the state of mind. If you rush it, then it probably won't be a book. Sure enough, just as Chu Yao said, the heavenly book was soon written to waste. Lin Muyu said helplessly, Sister Chu Yao is right. Rushing things won't work. It's not even a heavenly book. Chu Yao laughed. All right, let's have a cup of tea first. Okay. After putting down the spiritual pen, Lin Muyu took the teacup from Chu Yao's hand. A fragrant aroma lingered. He couldn't help but smile. I haven't had tea and chat with Sister Chu Yao for a long time. You know that too? Chu Yao glanced at him, held the teacup, and took a sip of tea quietly and elegantly. As time passed, Chu Yao's cultivation became more and more profound, and her mature feminine charm became stronger. At this time, she had grown into a mature, graceful, and beautiful stunner. It was no wonder that so many aristocratic children in the capital broke the threshold of the spiritual medicine department to seek marriage. If it wasn't for Chu Yao's noble status as the great deacon of the spiritual medicine department, she might not have been able to withstand the pressure from various forces. Dong dong dong, Wei Chao's voice came from outside. Master, General Feng wants to see you for something important. Ignoring the fact that the tea was too hot, Lin Muyu gulped it down. It was so hot that her tongue stuck out. What are you doing? Chu Yao said with a smile. I feel that I can't drink this tea when Brother Feng comes, so I have to drink a cup first. After all, it's rare to have a chance to drink tea made by Sister Chu Yao. At this time, Feng Jixing stepped into the side hall. He sniffed and said, What a fragrant tea. It seems that the beauty Chu Yao must be here. Chapter 560. As expected, when Lin Muyu saw Xiao Han's letter, she knew that she would not be able to drink the tea. Brother Feng, do you think Xiao Han can be trusted? Xiao Han has already been imprisoned by the Fire Sparrow Division. As for whether he can be trusted or not, we'll have to wait until Su Jiantao is assassinated by the demons. Lin Muyu stood up and put on her armor. She picked up her sword and said, Sister Chu Yao, I'll have tea with you when I get back. I'll be heading out first. Chu Yao nodded. You too be careful. After leaving the side hall, Sidu Sin, Sidu Shui, Wei Chou and Feng Shi, the four generals, cupped their fists and waited. My lord, we are at your command. Gather 5,000 cavalrymen and follow me to the Fire Sparrow Division. Yes, my lord. Wei Chou took the token and went to gather the troops. Feng Jixing squinted his eyes and smiled. Are you being impulsive again? The Fire Sparrow Division is on the same level as the 3 palaces and 6 divisions. If you send troops to the Fire Sparrow Division without permission, it'll be easy for people to gossip. Tang Lan and Su Muyun are waiting for you to make a mistake so that they can remove the 3 stars from your collar. Lin Muyu smiled. The Empire's military movements and food supplies are all under the control of the demons. 14 of the generals guarding the steel walls have been assassinated in the past few months. I really don't know how many demons have infiltrated Lan Yen City. The Fire Sparrow Division just sits there and does nothing. I've been waiting for this opportunity for too long. Don't tell me you want to. Feng Jixing could not help but take a deep breath. Do you want to get rid of the Fire Sparrow Division? Lin Muyu shook her head. I just want to get rid of the abbot of the Fire Sparrow Division, Zhenggu. He's in cahoots with Tanglon. He'll only be a scourge if we let him live. Feng Jixing muttered, That's fine. I'll go with you. Alright. Not long after, the army was assembled. 5,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp were waiting to set off. Under Lin Muyu's command, they rushed out of the camp and went straight to Flamingo. It had been a long time since there had been such a battle on Skyspan Street. It was as if a war was about to break out. Outside the Fire Sparrow Division, the dozen or so patrolmen did not even have time to react before they saw the entire Fire Sparrow Division surrounded by the cavalry of the Longdan army camp. The tense atmosphere almost scared the wits out of them. After all, most of the patrolmen in the Fire Sparrow Division were ordinary citizens, not soldiers. When Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing dismounted, the group of patrolmen knelt down and said, Greetings, Marquises. Get out of my way. Lin Muyu said calmly and entered the Fire Sparrow Division with her sword in hand. Behind her, Wei Chou, Citizen, Sidu Shui and the rest led the troops and rushed in. In the blink of an eye, the inner courtyard of the Fire Sparrow Division was under control. What's wrong? What's wrong? A group of patrolmen rushed out of the barracks and looked at the Imperial Army outside in shock. Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, Men, take away their weapons. Wei Chou gestured with his hand, and immediately, a group of brave Dragon Battalion soldiers with decent cultivation stepped forward and disarmed the hundreds of Fire Sparrow Division patrolmen. Only when these Fire Sparrow Division patrolmen were empty-handed did Abbot Zhenggu's voice finally come from the depths of the courtyard. So it's Commander Yu, this old man Zhenggu has come to greet you. Zhenggu was dressed in the uniform of the abbot of the Fire Sparrow Division with a sword hanging from his waist. He led dozens of patrolmen out, many of whom were commanders. Oh! Looking at the disarmed patrolmen in the courtyard, Zhenggu couldn't help but be shocked. Commander Yu, Commander Feng, what is the meaning of this? Why did you rush into the Fire Sparrow Division and disarm my people? Lin Muyu smiled. I suspect that someone in the Fire Sparrow Division is colluding with the demons, so I came to investigate. Master Zhenggu, I hope you will cooperate with my investigation. Tell your men to put down their weapons. What did you say? In the crowd, the commander of the patrolmen, Feng Zun, had a face full of anger. Marquis Yunling, our Fire Sparrow Division is on the same level as the Imperial Army. What right do you have to trespass and disarm us? Lin Muyu smiled. Because I have a strong army. What, are you not satisfied? Her words were very arrogant, leaving Feng Zun speechless. Wei Chou was a little impatient. Men, disarm all their weapons. If there is any resistance, kill them on the spot. A group of Longdan army camp soldiers all drew their longbows. The white diamond arrows glowed in the sunlight. Everyone knew about the strength of the Longdan army camp. Zhenggu naturally did not want the people he had worked so hard to recruit to die under the arrows of the Longdan army camp. He sighed helplessly. Everyone put down your weapons and do not resist. Her Highness will give justice to the Fire Sparrow Division's abbot. The world is clear and bright, and we will not allow anyone to act recklessly. Lin Muyu smiled faintly, raised her hand and ordered her men to collect the weapons of the Fire Sparrow Division patrolmen. Her eyes turned cold as she said, Your Excellency Zhenggu, please take me to your patrol commander, Xiao Han. Xiao Han? Zhenggu's body trembled. He knew that things were not as simple as he had thought. If Lin Muyu knew of Xiao Han's existence, then it meant that he already knew about Tang Lu and Tang Tian's secret meeting with the demon race. It would also implicate Zhenggu's bribery. Then, something big had happened. At that moment, Zhenggu felt that breathing had become very difficult. In the backyard, a group of patrolmen were quickly disarmed. When the door of one of the rooms in the backyard opened, Xiao Han walked out with a face full of shock. He saw Zhenggu standing there with an ashen face. All of the patrolmen from the Fire Sparrow Division had been disarmed, and 2 young generals of the Empire with 3-star military ranks were standing there. The only 2 people who had survived the legendary wind, rain, thunder and lightning were standing right in front of him. Xiao Han stepped forward and suddenly knelt on one knee. Xiao Han greets the two commanders. Rise. Lin Muyu took out Xiao Han's letter and asked, Xiao Han, everything you wrote, is it true? Absolutely true. Xiao Han said in a deep voice. If there is a single lie, I am willing to die 1,000 times. Good. Lin Muyu turned to look at Jinggu. Master Jinggu, I have a question for you. What is it? Jinggu muttered. Why did you imprison Xiao Han? He is the #1 constable of Fire Sparrow Division. Logically speaking, he should be protected in every possible way. Why did you imprison your subordinate's beloved general? Jinggu's expression was aghast. Jinggu has no respect for his superiors. He is audacious. As the abbot of Fire Sparrow Division, I naturally have to punish him. Is that so? Did Jinggu tell you about the demon race's plot to assassinate Songnan Province's Su Jiantao? This? Lin Muyu's words were like swords, causing Jinggu to break out in cold sweat uncontrollably. After a few seconds, he stammered and said, Yes, but I don't think he has any solid evidence. Slandering Marquis of North Ridge and Marquis of West Ridge is already a capital offense, so I imprisoned him. Is that so? Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. Men, take control of Fire Sparrow Division. Thoroughly investigate all the files that Master Jinggu is in charge of. I want to see if Fire Sparrow Division is just a small yamen. As she spoke, Lin Muyu looked at Xiao Han. Xiao Han, you should know more about Jinggu's misdeeds than anyone else. I will leave this matter to you. Xiao Han was startled and said, Commander Yu, please find someone else. But Xiao Han cupped his fists and said, Xiao Han told Milord about the demon race's conspiracy. This is a righteous cause, and Milord Jinggu has always trusted Xiao Han. If this subordinate personally investigated Milord Jinggu, how would this be different from an ungrateful villain? This is a small matter. That is why Xiao Han refused. Feng Jixing could not help but laugh. What a loyal and righteous Xiao Han. All right, I'll let you handle this matter personally. Lin Muyu stared at him with hidden bitterness. There were so many files in Fire Sparrow Division. If he had to go through them one by one, it would be better to kill him with a knife. So he waved his hand and said, Wei Chou, Sidu Shui, the two of you will investigate this matter. In addition, send a letter to inform Su Jiantao not to go out in the near future. Even if he goes out, he must bring a large number of troops with him. Let him be careful. Yes. Wei Chou cupped his fists and turned to write the letter. Lin Muyu said, General Sun, choose 20 experts from the Longdan army camp. Let them immediately go to the Five Valleys city to be Su Jiantao's bodyguards. Nothing must happen to Su Jiantao. In addition, let them bring 5 earth books with them to prevent any accidents. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. She glanced at Jinggu and said, Jinggu, seeing that you and the late Grand Deacon Lei Hong were old acquaintances, I will not make things difficult for you. I only hope that you will be honest with me and I will plead with His Highness to spare your life. Jinggu said, I have never colluded with the demons. Heaven and earth can testify to this. But you connived. Lin Muyu's voice was very cold. Men, put Jinggu under house arrest. Xiao Han will be in charge of all the daily affairs of Fire Sparrow Division. Wei Chou and Sidu Shui stay behind to check the files. I will go to Zetian Temple to ask for an edict. From now on, Xiao Han will be the new abbot of Fire Sparrow Division. I hope that you will fulfill your duties and serve the Empire. Return peace to Yanlan City. Xiao Han trembled. He cupped his fists and said, Subordinate Xiao Han will not disappoint Commander Yu. Originally, it was not appropriate for a commander of the Empire to say such words. However, Lin Muyu's identity was too special. He was the foster son of the former emperor and the foster brother of the empress. He did indeed have the ability to control Fire Sparrow Division. Just as Feng Jixing often said, you will give Xiao Yin some pillow talk. What can't he do? Only Feng Jixing dared to say such words. In the afternoon, Qin Yin personally issued an edict to temporarily remove Jinggu from the position of abbot of Fire Sparrow Division. Xiao Han was appointed as the new abbot of Fire Sparrow Division. At the same time, he was to immediately investigate the matter of the demon spies. The news spread quickly. It was the turn of the people of the Seven Seas Palace to be restless. Fire Sparrow Division was investigated and Zheng Gu was imprisoned. This meant that the matter of Tang Lu and Tang Tian colluding with the demons would soon be exposed. Chapter 561. What should we do? What should we do? Inside the Seven Seas King's mansion, Tang Lu was fidgeting restlessly. His hands were trembling as he held a teacup, and the tea almost spilled out. Tang Tian, who was beside him, wasn't any better. His face was pale as he said, Lin Muyu actually attacked the Firefinch division. Grandfather, if he and Xiao Han investigate together, second brother and I will be found out sooner or later. Tang Lan leaned on her walking stick and looked at her two good-for-nothing grandsons indifferently. What are you panicking about? Do you have any irrefutable evidence in the hands of Xiao Han or Lin Muyu? That's not true. Tang Lu said, but Xiao Han heard our negotiation with the demon race. Once he reports us, I'm afraid. Report you? Tang Lan said in a low voice, there's no concrete evidence. What right does he have to report you? Xiao Han can't bear the crime of falsely accusing Marquis Linbei and Marquis Linshi. Why are you two so impatient? If the enemy doesn't move, we won't move. How can you achieve anything great by being so flustered? I'm so disappointed. Tang Lu said, but grandfather, what should we do now? What else can we do? Tang Lan's eyes were filled with deep disappointment. It's a pity that Xiao Shi is inseparable from the Empress. Otherwise, she might be able to help. Yes. Tang Tian nodded repeatedly. He had completely lost his composure. At this moment, an official walked in and said respectfully, Your Highness, the son-in-law of Marquis Pingnan, Xiang Yu, requests an audience. Tang Lan looked up and said, Invite Marquis Pingnan in. Xiang Yu walked in, travel one. Beside him was Princess Wei, Tang Wei, who was also his newlywed wife. Tang Wei had a blissful smile on her face. It seemed that she and Xiang Yu had just gotten married and were deeply in love with each other. Xiang Yu pays his respects to your highness. Although Xiang Yu was already the son-in-law of the Tang family, he still didn't dare to be arrogant. He knelt on one knee and paid his respects. Marquis Pingnan, please rise. Tang Lan raised her hand and said, You two seem to be in a hurry. What's the matter? Xiang Yu replied, Naturally, it's because of the Fire Sparrow Division. There are rumors that the two young masters, Tang Lu and Tang Tian, are secretly in contact with the demon race. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are currently investigating this matter. I'm not sure if it's true. Tang Lu was startled and laughed. Brother-in-law, what are you saying? Why would Tang Tian and I do such a thing? Xiang Yu said indifferently, Young masters, there's no need to hide it from me at this time. Xiang Yu is Princess Wei's husband and can already be considered half a member of the Tang clan. If the Tang clan doesn't trust me, I'm afraid. Tang Lan raised her hand and said, Marquis Pingnan, don't be angry. This matter still needs to be considered at length. It seems like the rumors outside are true. Xiang Yu narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Your Highness, has our Tang clan really contacted the devil race in private? It can't be considered a private meeting. It's just a transaction. Tang Lan's voice was very calm as she said, The Tang clan's influence in North Ridge Province is declining day by day. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before Her Highness the Empress will eliminate our influence one by one from Lanyan City. Although we are officials, we must also consider our own future. Xiang Yu said, Yes, but I don't know what kind of transaction it was. If it's just to kill a governor of Tsangnan province, I'm afraid it's not enough. Tang Lan said, Naturally, it's not just this. But this time, the matter was actually exposed. It's all because of these two good-for-nothing descendants of the Tang clan who were too careless. Sigh, it really disappoints me. Grandfather? Tang Lu and Tang Tian's faces were full of shame and they couldn't speak. Xiang Yu smiled and said, Your Highness, I've seen Xiao Han before. He's a cautious and meticulous person. It's very difficult for those who are targeted by him to escape. This matter can't be completely blamed on the two young masters. Tang Lan said, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are investigating the Fire Sparrow division. Sooner or later, Tang Lu and Tang Tian's matter will be implicated. The two of them are the last of our Tang clan's male bloodline. We absolutely cannot lose them. We must think of a method that satisfies both sides. Marquis Pingnan, do you have any brilliant plan? It can't be considered a brilliant plan. It's just a last resort. Please speak. Xiang Yu cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, since Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing are investigating the Fire Sparrow division, there's no need for us to panic. Let's just pretend this matter didn't happen. It's almost time for the spring recruitment. Your Highness, why don't you send the two young masters to the Seven Seas province to recruit soldiers? At the same time, order them to take charge of the Seven Seas province's military. After taking charge of the military, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing naturally won't be able to do anything to the two young masters. This is like letting the tiger return to the mountain. It should be able to solve this urgent problem. Good, that's exactly what I was thinking. Tang Lan smiled and said, Tang Lu, Tang Dun, the two of you listen up. Immediately take my Tang clan's iron order and head to the Seven Seas province to command the troops. Remember, the Seven Seas province has close to 300,000 new and old soldiers. The two of you must train the troops diligently. Don't slack off. If you continue to play around and mess things up, I definitely won't let you off lightly. Many thanks, Grandfather. Tang Lu and Tang Tian knelt down at the same time and said, We won't disappoint Grandfather again. Tang Lan glanced at Xiang Yu intentionally or unintentionally, and the corners of his mouth curled up as he said, Depart in 3 days. How about Marquis Pingnan stay behind for a reunion dinner? Late at night, Xiang Yu and Tang Wei both left the Seven Seas Lord's palace with their guards and returned to their own residences, whereas the lights in Tang Lan's room were still dim. Tang Lu and Tang Tian stood at the side and watched Tang Lan sip his tea. Finally, Tang Lu lost his patience and said, Grandfather, when exactly did you summon the two of us here in the middle of the night? Tang Lan's aged eyes looked at the two of them and said, After the 5th watch, the two of you change into casual clothes and depart. Go out of the small western gate of Lanyan City and find the Tang clan's barracks 5 kilometers away. Dispatch 5,000 armored cavalry to accompany you and depart. You must leave Lanyan City at daybreak and must arrive at the Seven Seas Pass before sunset the day after tomorrow. Understand? Tang Lu was taken aback. But Grandfather, didn't you say we'll depart in 3 days? Why are you in such a hurry? Little brother Tian and I still have many things to pack. Don't pack. When you arrive at Seven Seas Pass, what will you lack? Tang Lan looked at his two grandsons and said, The two of you are the last hope of the Tang clan. I can't let the two of you lose your lives in Lanyan City. The two of you must live up to expectations and cannot continue living in such a muddle-headed manner. Look at Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing. They are about the same age as the two of you, but they can already assume responsibility and assume the position of commander of the Empire's army. The two of you, if the two of you don't live up to expectations, the Tang clan will really be finished. Tang Tian nodded. Grandfather, we understand. We'll depart at the 5th watch. Remember to change into casual clothes and leave from the back door of the residence. Don't alarm anyone. Just the two of you leaving the city will be enough. I've already established a connection with the guards at the city gate. They will naturally let you out of the city. Yes, I understand. Tang Lu knelt on the ground and raised his head to look at Tang Lan. His body was slightly trembling as he said, Grandfather, Tang Lu also hopes to be able to carry the Tang clan's foundation, and I also hope to be able to become even stronger. I know that it's very difficult for Grandfather to support it all by himself, but please believe me. Little brother Tian and I will surely become even stronger, and we won't disappoint Grandfather. Tang Lan waved his hand and said, I won't see you off. The two of you must take care of yourselves. The future of the Tang clan lies in the hands of the two of you. Don't let me down. Yes. After the 5th watch, Two fast horses hurriedly left the back door of the Tang residence and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. After passing through the west gate of Lanyan City, the sky had already begun to brighten. After entering the Tang clan's camp in the west of the city, a general came forward to welcome them. He cupped his fists and said, "General Tang Su has received orders from His Highness. The 5,000 light cavalrymen are ready to depart at any time. Young masters, should we depart immediately?" "Let's depart." Tang Lu nodded his head. After experiencing the events of last night, he seemed to have matured a lot in an instant. In his and Tang Tian's memories, Tang Lan was always so smart and capable and in control of everything. But just last night, Tang Lu saw an aged and helpless expression on his grandfather's face. He felt extremely distressed. Tang Lan was old and was powerless. The future of the Tang clan could only depend on themselves. Tang Su raised his long whip and loudly said, "Brothers, let's depart. We will escort the two young masters back to the Seven Seas province. We will take the small path and avoid the official road." The majestic cavalrymen stirred up a cloud of dust. Everyone avoided the main road and passed through the small path. This group of light cavalrymen were all equipped with crossbows and spears. They could be considered the most elite troops of the Tang clan. At this time, this army also carried Tang Lan's last hope. The army galloped through the forest until sunset. They rested at the edge of the forest, fed the horses, and didn't rest after eating a full meal. They once again mounted their horses and madly galloped in the direction of the Seven Seas Pass. Although Tang Lu didn't understand the art of war, he knew that speed was important in war. The faster he moved, the safer he would be. After all, Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing might not be aware that he and Tang Tian had already left Lanyan City. The curtain of night descended. In the middle of the night, a bright moon hung in the sky, illuminating the forest in all directions. It seemed to bring a trace of precious warmth to the chilly forest. Tang Lu had an exhausted expression as he spurred his horse to gallop swiftly. At the side, Tang Tian spoke with slight anger. "Second brother, why are we marching like this? There aren't any pursuers behind us. We're just torturing ourselves. Grandfather is also too much. He made us leave in such a hurry. I didn't even have time to tidy up. We didn't even bring out a single one of our dancers." Tang Lu frowned and said, "Stop complaining, you insensible fellow." Tang Tian still wanted to argue, but he suddenly saw an icy light charging into the sky from afar, and he couldn't help but turn pale with fright. "Second brother, be careful. There's someone there." "What?" Tang Lu, Tang Su, and the others looked over, only to see a dense icy light in the forest at the side of the small path. In the sky, a black figure stepped on the icy light as he approached. He wore a black robe, but it was difficult to conceal the 3 dazzling golden stars on his collar and the armor beneath his battle robe. With a clang, he pulled out the long sword on his back. Starlight flickered as he laughed in a low voice. "Tang Lu, Tang Tian, do you two pieces of trash think you can escape?" "Lin Muyu." Tang Lu and Tang Su's faces were ashen at the same time. Chapter 562. Protect the young master, kill them. Tang Su pulled out his sword and led a group of light cavalry to charge forward. From afar, a group of light cavalry raised their bows and arrows, and in an instant, a series of black arrows shot into the sky. "Die!" The newcomer raised his long sword and suddenly slashed out a frosty sword chi. Shwa! The fierce frosty chi covered the sky and covered the earth. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen light cavalrymen were already covered in frost. In an instant, their lives were taken away by the power of the frost. Tang Su's face was aghast. He leaped up from his horse and with his sword, he roared, "Lin Muyu, don't you dare bully my Seven Seas Tang sect. Get down here." However, the Lin Muyu, in front of him, raised his palm and flew out. In the air, a sparkling ice shield quickly condensed, deflecting Tang Su's sword and tens of arrows. Still thinking of leaving? A powerful domain aura engulfed the surroundings, causing a group of Tang family's light cavalry to be unable to move. Lin Muyu stepped on the snowy light and rushed down, his long sword descending from the sky, straight towards Tang Tian's direction. Bastard! Tang Tian raised his hand and a fire fox seal appeared. The fire fox martial spirit roared fiercely, but just as Lin Muyu's sword fell, the tyrannical ice energy surged, and the air seemed to freeze. Hiss, sound of ice condensing could be heard, and the extremely hot fire fox martial spirit was actually frozen. Ah! Tang Tian was dumbfounded, but his body was already unable to move. Gotcha! The sword light swept past, and Tang Tian was immediately split into two. His head and shoulders were chopped off from the back of the warhorse, and his upper body fell to the ground with a gotcha sound. The Tang sect soldiers at the side were scared out of their wits. He killed young Master Tang Tian, he killed young Master Tang Tian. Amidst the screams, many of the soldiers had already abandoned their weapons and fled in panic. Going against such a strong holy king would only result in a crushing defeat. Swoosh! Tang Su's sword blade cut through the wind, and it was another biting cold strike. However, Lin Mu seemed to have foreseen this. She turned around and kicked Tang Su's wrist with a blood-red cyclone surrounding her ankle. With a purring sound, she broke Tang Su's wrist. Then she followed up with another kick. Tang Su instantly fell into the weeds far away like a kite with a broken string. While he was in the air, he shouted, "Change to a white drill arrow. We must protect the young master." The light cavalrymen in the front and back arrived one after another. They switched to their longbows, drew their arrows, and began to shoot fiercely. Dang, dang, dang. The white drill arrows hit the ice shield again and again. After all, it was difficult for one fist to fight against four hands. Lin Muyu's Do Chi had obviously dimmed a lot. Under the moonlight, his pair of eyes actually had a faint purple glow. He looked at the enemies around him ferociously and roared, "You are courting death." What? His figure suddenly dashed down from the sky, and his sword descended from the sky towards the crowd, causing another few tens of people to be frozen into pieces of ice. His sword light flashed before vanishing, and he headed straight for the fleeing Tang Lu. Bastard! Tang Lu suddenly turned around, and the fire fox seal in his hand soared into the sky. At the same time, the light on his sword surged. This was the light of the mid-grade Earth Book. An earthy yellow light soared into the sky, and the power of heaven and earth had already been activated. Flames whizzed out and went straight for the attacker's body. The ice shield collided with the mid-grade Earth Book's raging flames. Instantly, the flames surged and burned, and the surrounding Tang sect soldiers who couldn't dodge in time wailed miserably. The long sword in Tang Lu's hand produced a protective force, allowing Tang Lu to avoid all of the raging flames like a rock. Shwa! The sword light split the raging flames. In the end, Lin Mu began to surpass the might of the mid-grade Earth Book, and the long sword flashed past. Ka! Tang Lu screamed miserably. The arm that was holding the weapon was directly chopped off. After losing the protection of the weapon, the raging flames swept over and engulfed his body. Young master! Young master! In the surroundings, a group of 7 Seas City soldiers were dumbstruck, and they were scared out of their wits. After a few seconds, angry roars soared into the sky, and one by one, they rushed towards Lin Muyu, who was temporarily in the sky without a care for their lives. At this moment, Lin Muyu continuously killed so many people, and his strength was already unable to maintain. With a light wave of the long sword, another wave of ice energy surged out, and tens of soldiers holding spears froze to death. A group of reckless fools. He laughed sinisterly, turned around, and shot out like lightning, disappearing into the boundless curtain of night in the blink of an eye. It's over, it's all over. Tang Su laid on the ground covered in blood, and his face was ashen. With Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, the Tang clan was already without descendants. Who would inherit half of Tang Land's empire? Huff, huff. Amidst heavy gasps of breath, Lin Mu dashed for nearly 5 kilometers under the moonlight before hurriedly stopping. He lifted the cloak on his head, and his young face seemed extremely resolute under the illumination of the moonlight. His eyes emitted a dense purple light, and an unending stream of Grandmaster Devil energy surged out from his body to heal his injuries. How was this Lin Muyu? He was a high-ranked devil of the 5-star devil ancestor rank. Bai Bing, one of the 15 elders of the devil race, and also the youngest elder. He was proficient in ice attribute absolute arts. With a light scream, Bai Bing pulled out a white drill arrow that had shot into his arm and threw it to the side. The white drill arrow emitted a clear, ding sound as it hit the rock. He clenched his teeth, and dense frost condensed on his palm to freeze the wound. His eyes were filled with dense rage as he said indifferently, "A mere Tang Lu and Tang Tian were actually able to injure me. Simply detestable. Once Tang Lu and Tang Tian are dead, the Seven Seas province will probably fall into chaos. Old bastard Tang Lan's lifespan is approaching its end, and I want to see who else he can rely on to inherit his authority." As he spoke, Bai Bing cried out in pain once more, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile that was extremely savage. "Lin Muyu, the rest is up to you." After the fierce battle, the numerous bonfires in the forest still hadn't been extinguished. Tang Su held his sword in a daze as he slowly walked between the numerous corpses, and his face was filled with regret and despair as he looked at Tang Tian's body that had been split into two. "What should I do? What should I do? If His Highness blames me, I'm afraid my entire family will be annihilated, General." The nearby captain said, "This matter can't be blamed on you. Lin Muyu is truly too strong. Moreover, he obstructed us here in the middle of the night. I'm afraid no one would be able to resist him. We'll report this matter truthfully to His Highness." "What's the use of that?" Tang Su laughed bitterly. Only he knew that Tang Lu and Tang Tian were Tang Lan's final hopes. Once these two people died, Tang Lan's world was practically equivalent to collapsing. Under his rage, not to mention himself, the heads of these 5,000 people would probably fall to the ground. Just at this moment, a woo-woo scream suddenly came from the midst of the pile of corpses. One of the soldiers who was transporting the corpses stared dumbfoundedly at the person lying in the middle of the bonfire. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Suddenly, he laughed wildly and said, "Young master didn't die, young master didn't die." What? Tang Su hurriedly raised his sword and rushed over. He knelt on one knee beside Tang Lu's body. Borrowing the moonlight and the light from the torches, he saw that Tang Tian's right arm had already been chopped off. His face and chest had been burned into a mess by the flames, and he was almost unrecognizable. His voice was extremely soft, but it was like a flickering flame of hope as he said, "Commander Tang Su. This subordinate is here, this subordinate is here." Tang Su was extremely excited. Tang Lu took a deep breath and only then did he have the strength to continue saying, "Quickly use healing medicine to heal my wounds. Also, I have a low-grade book embryo of the Law of Life in my spatial bag. Take it out, and use it to save me." "Yes." Tang Su hurriedly took out a shield from Tang Lu's spatial bag. With a light turn of his wrist, he willed it. Immediately, a green light poured into Tang Lu's body. Those burns actually slowly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although it still looked so tragic, there was already a trace of blood. This proved that Tang Lu's life could be saved. "Help me sit up," Tang Lu said in a weak voice. "Yes." Tang Su hurriedly placed a military bag behind Tang Lu and helped him up to lean against it. He said, "Young master, if you have anything to say, just say it. I'll treat your wounds." As he spoke, Tang Su opened a bottle of high-quality healing medicine, and the medicinal liquid ceaselessly poured onto Tang Lu's severed arm and burned wounds. Traces of coolness seeped into his body, causing Tang Lu to be unable to help but quiver and suck in a breath of cold air. After a while, Tang Lu said, "Commander Tang Su, don't spread the news that I'm still alive." Tang Su nodded. Tang Lu continued, "Let the soldiers surround this place and forbid them from talking to each other. Forget about the soldiers on the periphery, kill all the soldiers who see me alive. Give their families double the compensation. Yes. Tang Su's heart went cold. He had never imagined that Tang Lu would be so ruthless. Tang Lu's breathing was somewhat hurried as he said, "Announce to the outside world that I'm already dead and that the person who killed me and brother Tian was Lin Muyu." The people of Iha countries saw Lin Muyu use a supreme technique of the laws of ice in the Heavenly Tome Monolith Forest to instantly kill many people. This debt will be placed on his head. Take the corpses of brother Tian and the soldiers who died in battle back to Lanyan City and seek justice for the Tang family at the Zhe Tian Hall. In addition, send 2 people to escort me to the Seven Seas province. Just treat it as if I, Tang Lu, am no longer in this world. Why? Because someone wants me dead. Tang Lu's eyes were filled with coldness as he said, "I must die. Only after I die can I find out who it is that wants me dead so badly. I will make them pay tenfold." Yes, this subordinate understands. In addition, the news that I'm not dead can only be told to grandfather. Commander Tang Su, you must keep it a secret, understood? Understood. Find a charred corpse and treat it as my corpse. Bring it back to Lanyan City. Under the moonlight, quite a few soldiers began to cry. Tang Su's eyes were also red. After bringing the corpses of the 2 young masters, he said, "Brothers, let's return to Lanyan City and seek justice for the 2 young masters of our Tang family. They cannot die in vain. The murderer, Lin Muyu, must receive the severe punishment of the Zhe Tian Hall." Chapter 563. One day later, in Lanyan City, a group of cavalrymen slowly entered the Seven Seas monarch's residence. Tang Lan, Tang Wei, and Xiang Yu, who had received the news in advance, were already waiting in the front courtyard of the residence to welcome them. When they saw several soldiers carrying Tang Lu and Tang Tian's corpses into the residence, Tang Lan couldn't help but tear up. Lifting the white cloth, they saw Tang Tian's still frozen and broken body. He had been split into 3 parts by a sword and died a miserable death. When they saw Tang Lu's corpse, Tang Lan was already sobbing. The white-haired person had to send off the black-haired person. The world was extremely miserable. Tang Wei's eyes were red as she looked coldly at Tang Su and said sternly, "Commander Tang Su, how did you do things? What? Why are you still standing there alive after Tang Lu and Tang Tian were assassinated?" Tang Su didn't say anything. He just slowly knelt down and remained silent. Xiang Yu held Tang Wei's shoulder and said, "Xiao Wei, calm down first." As he spoke, Xiang Yu walked forward and held Tang Lan's arm, saying, "Your Highness, please restrain your grief and accept fate. What we need to do now is to immediately find out the real culprit and avenge the 2 young masters. No matter who it is, since they dared to provoke the Seven Seas Tang sect, they must bear the consequences." Xiang Yu's eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. Tang Lan asked with a trembling voice, "Commander Tang Su, what's going on? Who dares to assassinate my 2 grandsons?" It was Lin Muyu. Tang Su trembled all over and said, "He had the power of the sacred domain and was also well versed in the law of ice chi. The sword he used looked no different from the astral treasured sword. Your Highness, he wore a 3-star military rank, an Imperial Commander-level military rank. If it wasn't Lin Muyu, who else could it be?" Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu. Tang Lan seemed to instantly age to the point where he was about to pass away. He slumped to the ground and said, "Preserve all the evidence of Lin Muyu's assassination of Tang Lu and Tang Tian." Tang Su failed to protect them. "Men, throw Tang Su into the death cell and choose a day to execute him. Tomorrow, follow me to the palace. I, Tang Lan, will seek justice for Tang Lu and Tang Tian even if I have to risk my old bones." "Your Highness." Tang Su knelt on the ground, his face filled with confusion. Xiang Yu walked forward and easily removed the 3-star military insignia from Tang Su's collar. He said indifferently, "Trash, even 5,000 people could not save the lives of the 2 young masters. What use are you?" Tang Su lowered his head and said nothing. That night, the Tang sect wore mourning clothes and placed Tang Lu's and Tang Tian's memorial tablets in the main hall. The weeping sounds of the womenfolk rang out unceasingly. Not long after, Tang Xiaoxi also arrived. Although Tang Lu and Tang Tian had always been at odds with her, they were, after all, siblings who had grown up together. Now that she saw Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, Tang Xiaoxi naturally didn't feel good in her heart. "Grandpa," Tang Xiaoxi held Tang Lan's arm. Looking at Tang Lan's pale face, Tang Xiaoxi felt her heart ache. She said, "Grandpa, don't torture your body. Why don't you eat something first?" "I can't eat." Tang Lan's voice was a little weak as she said, "I did not expect that Lin Muyu would actually act so viciously, killing 2 of my Tang family's heirs in one fell swoop, severing the bloodline of the Tang sect. Lin Muyu, what have I, Tang Lan, done to you? Just come at me. Why did you kill my Lu and Tian? No." Tang Xiaoxi shook her head repeatedly. "Mu isn't that kind of person. He wouldn't do such a thing. Grandpa, leave this matter to me. I will definitely get to the bottom of it." "No need." Tang Lan shook his head. "The evidence is conclusive. It is indeed Lin Muyu. Shao Shi, you keep watch for the 2 elder brothers. Grandpa wants to go see what that trash Tang Su has to say." Tang Xiaoxi knew that she couldn't refute Tang Lan's thoughts, and she could only take it one step at a time. Death row prison of the king's mansion. Tang Su's arms were strung up, and his body was riddled with scars. Those who entered the death row prison were naturally not treated well. However, Tang Su had trained in martial arts, and this torture was not enough to kill him. "Your Highness." A group of prison guards cupped their fists and saluted. Tang Lan nodded and said, "All of you are dismissed. Guard the outside well. Without my orders, no one is to enter." The prison guards were all dismissed, and the entire death row prison was only left with Tang Lan, Tang Su, and Tang Lan's 4 personal guards. Seeing Tang Su's wretched appearance, Tang Lan nodded and said, "Men, release Commander Tang Su." The guards stepped forward to remove Tang Su's shackles, bringing a stool for him to sit down. "Commander Tang Su, it has been hard on you." Tang Lan also sat down, saying passively, "Now you can tell me, who was it that tried to assassinate my Lu and Tian?" Tang Su was startled. "Your Highness already knows that it wasn't Lin Muyu?" Tang Lan's voice was cold. "Lin Muyu is currently investigating the Flame Crane's division's case, and he was still at Flame Crane's division last night. There is no way he could come and go without a trace and kill people hundreds of miles away. Tell me, who was it that was able to kill my 2 grandsons under the protection of 5,000 guards?" "I really don't know the specific identity of the assassin," Tang Su frowned, "but I can be sure that it wasn't Lin Muyu, because he didn't use the God-binding chains or the 7 luminaries' celestial gourd. He didn't even use the 7 luminaries' profound force or the star art. Instead, his moves seemed to be from another world, and his battle aura had a faint blood-red color." "Blood-red battle aura? Another world's move?" Tang Lan raised his eyebrows, saying, "If you have something to say, just say it." "Yes." Tang Su took a deep breath, saying, "Looking at his swordsmanship and battle aura, I think he is a high-ranking demon. The red battle aura was a demonic battle aura and master demon force that he deliberately used. However, this person is good at using ice laws, so he pretended to be Lin Muyu, making the world think that it was Lin Muyu's star art's Jade Snow Ice. Lin Muyu displayed the power of the Jade Snow Ice in the White Leaves Forest, and now everyone knows that he is an expert in controlling ice. The demons must also think that this can fool the world." "Demons?" Tang Lan narrowed his eyes. "You mean to say that someone colluded with the high-ranking demons and used them to kill my 2 grandsons, right?" Tang Su cupped his fists. "Yes, this subordinate thinks so. Who would want the Tang clan to end its bloodline? The first possibility is Feng Jixing. Feng Jixing is under the direct command of Her Highness. If Her Highness wants to eliminate the Tang clan's military power, the first step would be to eliminate the Tang clan's descendants. The second possibility is Su Muyun. There are only 2 kings in the empire, and only Her Highness can fight against Su Muyun's powerful military power. As long as Her Highness dies, Su Muyun still has Su Yu and Luo Xen behind him, and half of the empire will fall into his hands. The third possibility is Qin Yi. The Lingnan Iha nation has always been eyeing the empire covetously, and Her Highness and Su Muyun are the two pillars of the empire. If the Tang clan falls, Qin Yi will be one of the beneficiaries. Furthermore, with the death of the two young masters, there will definitely be internal unrest in the empire's military. This is what Qin Yi wants to see the most. The fourth possibility is Zheng Yifan. After returning to the empire, Zheng Yifan hasn't really taken the initiative, and his military power is also limited to the Divine Might Battalion. However, the empire already has the Imperial Guards and the Longdan army camp. Zheng Yifan wants to expand the army, but he doesn't have the strength to do so. Once the Tang clan falls into chaos, perhaps Zheng Yifan will have the opportunity to control part of the Seven Seas province's military power. The fifth possibility is... Tang Su suddenly paused and didn't continue speaking. Tang Lan smiled faintly and waved her hand. I know everything. There are countless possibilities. My Lu and Tian were just fooling around, but because of their identity as descendants of the Tang sect, they were met with this unexpected disaster. No matter who killed them, I'll find out the truth and make them pay with their blood. Tang Su stood up and slowly knelt in front of Tang Lan. Your Highness, this subordinate has one more thing to tell you. What is it? Tang Su trembled as he took out a spatial bag from his bosom. It was a pure white spatial bag made of animal skin. Tang Lan recognized this spatial bag. It was a gift he had given to Tang Lu for his 18th birthday. Tang Lan's body trembled for a moment. This is... yes. Tang Su nodded. His eyes flickered with some joy. Although the owner of this spatial bag was seriously injured, he didn't die. Right now, he's already on the way to Seven Seas City. He asked me to tell Your Highness that he's already dead. He wants to become an invisible person and assist Your Highness in the dark. Tang Lan held the spatial bag and suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. There was some vicissitudes and some gratification in his laughter. Your Highness, what should we do now? Tang Su asked. Follow me to the palace tomorrow. We'll use the material evidence and witnesses in our hands to testify against Lin Muyu for the crime of murder. Tang Lan's eyes were slightly fierce. This foster son of the former emperor has been tyrannical in Lanyan City for too long. It's time to let him know what retribution is. Late at night, Flamingo Division. Xiao Han flipped through the files with a distressed expression on his face. What's wrong? Can't find it? Lin Muyu sat at the side drinking tea and said with a smile. Can't find it. Xiao Han shook his head and said, Commander Yu, I think you should be concerned about the important matters that concern you. The Seven Seas King's estate has already sent out news that you've killed Tang Lu and Tang Tian. The Seven Seas King will surely seek justice from Her Highness the Empress during the Imperial Court Assembly tomorrow. Supposedly, their evidence is extremely conclusive. Commander Yu, you must be on guard against them. I know. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, What's going to come will come. Beside her, Feng Jixing stood up and said, You've been staying in the imperial capital. We also have very sufficient witnesses. Tomorrow, we'll see what material evidence Tang Lan can produce. Lin Muyu looked at the bright moon outside the window with a deep gaze and said, But who assassinated Tang Lu and Tang Tian? Who knows? Feng Jixing smiled faintly. There are too many people who want Tang Lu and Tang Tian dead, just like there are too many people who want you and me dead. Chapter 564. Empire Calendar, Year 7735, December 25th, 5 days before the Spring Plowing Festival, but today ushered in the final drama of the end of the year in the Qin Empire. In the morning, all the officials in Zetian Palace were silent, as if everyone knew that a storm was coming. Only Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and Wei Chou were discussing their experiences in practicing the diamond body protection. General Feng has already practiced to the seventh heaven? Wei Chou was shocked. That's amazing. I'm still practicing the third heaven, embracing the moon. Feng Jixing patted his chest. I'm so focused, so of course I can practice fast. If there's anything you don't understand, Just ask me. I'll definitely teach you. Wei Chou laughed. That's great. I've always been puzzled about the embracing the moon. How can one hold the moon in one's arms? Commander, you taught me that it's very simple. Just imagine the feeling of holding a sister in one's arms. That's it. Feng Jixing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You is really misleading people. Holding a sister in one's arms. Bah, the true meaning of the embracing the moon is to be able to release and retract freely with the right amount of strength. You can't rush it. Based on my experience, I should correct use words. Hugging a soft girl in one's arms is the correct way. You can imagine the feeling of hugging a delicate, jade-like girl in one's arms. You don't dare to use too much strength, but you don't want to let go. Wei Chou was shocked. General Feng is really godly, Sidu Shui sneered at the side. General Feng is leading our commander astray again. No way. At this time, Chu Yao, who was dressed in the spiritual medicine department's deacon uniform, also walked over and said, "Why isn't your highness in the palace today? It's already half an hour late." "I don't know, she's probably putting on makeup," Lin Muyu said. Sure enough, after a few minutes, Qin Yin arrived late. Surrounded by a group of female officials, she walked into the Golden Hall and sat down in a dignified manner. She waved her hand and said, "Sirs, please rise. If you have something to report, please report. If not, please leave." Among the crowd, Tang Lan walked out shakily. With tears on his face, he said, "Your Highness, you must seek justice for this old subject." "What's the matter, 7C King? Just say it. What exactly happened?" Qin Yin asked. Tang Lan knelt on both knees and said, 2 days ago, this old subject ordered my 2 grandsons, Tang Lu and Tang Tian, to head to the Seven Seas province to recruit soldiers in order to increase the empire's military strength. Unexpectedly, my 2 grandsons were assassinated on the way there and their souls returned to the heavenly realm. This old subject's parting with this old subject is actually my last. I, Tang Lan, only have these 2 filial grandsons. Once they die, my Tang clan will no longer have any descendants. Your Highness, please give this old subject justice. What? Qin Yin was startled. Someone actually dared to assassinate Marquis Lingbei and Marquis Lingxi within the empire's borders. Preposterous. Has the 7C King found out who did it? It's Lin Muyu, who was conferred as one of the 4 heroes of Lan Yen by the late emperor. It's him. Tang Lan was filled with righteous indignation as he pointed in Lin Muyu's direction and said, "The thousands of troops in the Seven Seas city all saw it clearly. It was Lin Muyu who killed Tang Tian with the star's sword. It was him who burned Tang Lu beyond recognition with the king's battle flame." Well, Qin Yin didn't receive any news at all. When she heard up to this point, she was already dumbfounded. She looked at Lin Muyu and said, "Commander Yu, what's going on?" Lin Muyu's expression was calm as he cupped his fists and said, "I've been staying in the imperial capital for the past few days. Imperial Guard Commander Feng Jixing and Fire Sparrow Division Head Master Xiao Han can prove it. My subordinates can also prove that I never left the imperial capital. It's impossible for me to go outside the city to kill people." Tang Wei said angrily, "Lin Muyu, do you still want to deny it? Who in the imperial capital doesn't know that the star's art you cultivate has a move that can freeze people to death? You ruthless murderer, you will die a horrible death." Lin Muyu looked at her indifferently and said, "Princess Wei, before the truth is revealed, please don't slander an imperial commander with the rank of general. This is the cultivation and grace that you should have as a princess." The other princess, Tang Xiaoxi, sat quietly next to Qin Yin. She bit her red lips and didn't say a word. Her heart was already in a mess. At this time, Feng Jixing cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, I think this matter must be investigated thoroughly before we can come to a conclusion." Qin Yin nodded. "Fire Sparrow Division Head Master Xiao Han orders you to investigate this matter immediately. You must track down the assassin of the 2 marquises." "Yes, Your Highness." Xiao Han's face was solemn. However, at this moment, Tang Lan said, "Your Highness, you must not." "What's wrong, Seven Seas King. Everyone in Lanyan City knows that Xiao Han and Lin Muyu are close friends. If Xiao Han investigates this case, he will definitely not be impartial. I think that we should first remove all of Lin Muyu's military power, strip her of her title and military rank, and let the Seven Seas King Palace investigate this matter. Before the truth is revealed, Lin Muyu must not be let off as a suspect. Zhang Wei was furious. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Your Highness, Seven Seas King, are you going to forcibly seize the military power of an imperial commander without any evidence?" "No evidence?" Tang Lan couldn't help but laugh. "Someone, bring the irrefutable evidence." Outside the palace, a guard walked in with a plate in his hand. On the plate was a waist tag, carved with the words Longdan Army Camp in gold. It was the waist tag of the commander of the Longdan Army Camp. Furthermore, there were bloodstains on this waist tag, making it look extremely terrifying. Lin Muyu's heart skipped a beat. She had lost this waist tag 3 days ago when she went out of the city to check on the progress of the magic crystal cannon. It was currently being reforged, but it was actually in Tang Lan's hands. This was not good. Tang Lan held the waist tag and said, "This is the irrefutable evidence, Your Highness." At the scene of Tang Lu and Tang Tian's assassination, someone found this waist tag of the commander of the Longdan Army Camp. I think it should be clear whose item this belongs to, right? This, Qin Yin frowned slightly. Seven Seas King, could there be a mistake? Would a commander of the empire casually give his waist tag to others? Tang Lan sneered. Lin Muyu felt a chill in her heart as she took a step forward and cupped her fists. "Your Highness, I lost this command token 3 days ago, and I've already asked the Minister of War, Xueling, to order someone to recast it for me. Tang Lu and Tang Tian were assassinated 2 days ago, so this command token can't be used as evidence at all. The Minister of War, Lord Xueling, can testify to this matter." Qin Yin looked at Xueling and said, "Xueling, is it like this?" Xueling's black eyes met with Tang Lan's. He hurriedly lowered his head and cupped his fists. "Your Highness, I don't remember such a thing. Commander, you didn't ask me to reforge the waist tag." "What?" Lin Muyu turned pale with fright. She couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Xueling was Tang Lan's subordinate, so he should have expected this. Tang Lan had calculated everything, so how could he make a mistake here? Lin Muyu could only blame herself for being too careless. She actually didn't notice that she had lost the token while riding her horse. "Commander Yu, do you have anything else to say?" Tang Lan's eyes were cold as he said, "You killed my Lu and Tian, wiping out the bloodline of the Tang sect. You are so vicious. What else do you have to say?" Qin Yin's heart was in a mess. She looked at Su Muyun, Feng Jixing and the others for help, hoping that they could speak up for Lin Muyu. It would be good if they could salvage the situation. However, who would have thought that Su Muyun would lower his head and remain silent? He was probably still holding a grudge against Lin Muyu for severely injuring Luo Xe. Luo Xen was still bedridden, and it was impossible for him to speak up for Lin Muyu. Furthermore, even if he did not do so, how could he let go of such an opportunity to bring down the Longdan Army Camp? Only Feng Jixing furrowed his brows and cupped his fists, saying, "Your Highness, Lin Muyu's military exploits are illustrious. The tens of thousands of soldiers in the Longdan Army Camp are our greatest reliance against the demon race, the Iha Kingdom, and the imperial capital. Even if there is so-called evidence, we must not touch Lin Muyu and the Longdan Army Camp. This is the foundation of the empire. Now that your Highness has taken control of the throne, you no longer need to be controlled by vile people. You can decide everything on your own." Xiang Yu couldn't help but laugh coldly, saying, "Assassinating 2 marquises of the empire. This crime is probably not something that can be offset by meritorious deeds, right? Bending the law for personal gain. What difference is there between the empire's laws and a piece of scrap paper? Your Highness, this general remembers that when your Highness ascended to the throne, you had already clarified the laws and brought peace to the world. If there is conclusive evidence, then you cannot ignore the laws of the empire. Otherwise, the Qin Empire will be in danger." Su Muyun also cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, please make a judgment quickly so that the officials will not be disappointed. Lin Muyu raised her head to look at Qin Yin on the throne with a look of approval in her eyes. She nodded her head but didn't say anything. Tang Lan said, Your Highness, please remove Lin Muyu's gold military insignia and strip her of the title of Marquis Yunling. Lin Muyu murdered 2 marquises and her subordinates cannot escape responsibility. Please take away the military power of Wei Chou, Sidusin, Sidushui, and Fengxi. The Longdan army camp will have 10,000 men in a team and send them to the various provinces to act as border guards. Only in this way can we stabilize the imperial capital and make the world submit to us. Ding. The heaven-suppressing sword in Qin Yin's hand was suddenly unsheathed and she threw it out with a swing of her hand. The true dragon god binding chains circled around the blade of the sword as it flew out in a spiral. With a pung sound, it stabbed into the foot of the king's steps. Crushed stones flew everywhere and the officials were overwhelmed with shock. All of them were so scared that they kept quiet out of fear. I do not wish for anyone to tell me what to do. Always remember, you are the official and I am the monarch. Qin Yin looked at Tang Lan indifferently. Tang Lan felt as if there was a thorn in her back. The Qin Yin in front of her was like a queen and was no longer the Qin Yin that could be manipulated by others. Tang Lan didn't seem to understand this point. Su Muyun's complexion was only slightly better than Tang Lan's as he cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, then how should this matter be decided? Qin Yin lightly waved her arm and said, Come, remove Commander Yu's General Gold Star and temporarily strip him of his title. However, the military power of the Courage of Dragon Army will still be in Lin Muyu's hands. No one is allowed to have any objections. Xiao Han will investigate the matter of Tang Lu and Tang Tian's murder. When the truth comes to light, Commander Yu's title and military rank will be returned. This matter will be settled. Tang Lan's expression was dejected and she didn't say anything else. Tang Wei, however, glared with her phoenix eyes and said, Your Highness, Lin Muyu murdered Tang Lu and Tang Tian. The evidence is conclusive. How can Your Highness be so biased and still let this person continue to control the military power? Is Your Highness trying to bully our Seven Seas Tang sect? Tang Wei had a crafty and unruly personality. At this moment, she didn't put Qin Yin, the Empress, in her eyes at all. Qin Yin looked deeply at her and said, Princess Wei, this isn't bias. This is for the Empire's mountains and rivers. Please remember, the one who drowned 60,000 armored demons in the wildfire plains and forced the 2 demon legions to retreat wasn't Tang Lu or Tang Tian, but Lin Muyu. Please remember, the Empire can completely lose Tang Lu and Tang Tian, but it can't lose Lin Muyu. I am the Empress, and everything I do is for Great Qin. Truly preposterous words. Are the lives of our Tang clan's people not lives? I know you are sad that Tang Lu and Tang Tian were killed. Princess Wei, please calm down. Qin Yin said in a low voice. No, based on what? Tang Wei had an agitated expression. Feng Jixing's sword-like eyebrows were tightly knitted as he shouted in a low voice. Men, where are the golden armored warriors? Drag Tang Wei, this shrew who offended His Highness, out for this daddy. Chapter 565. Everyone, stop quarreling. Just treat it as giving me face. In the hall, a certain person, who was the target of everyone's criticism, slowly took off the 3-star gold emblem on her collar. The golden-purple flower reflected a dazzling luster under the sunlight. The Empire's military emblem. How beautiful! She then took out the general's sword seal from her cosmos sack and gave it to Shangguan Jingyue. Shangguan Jingyue laughed softly. Then I'll keep it for you. And, thank you. 7C King, Duke Lan, you know that I didn't kill your 2 grandsons, so don't force me. Don't forget that when a rabbit is cornered, it will bite. Besides, I, Lin Muyu, am not a rabbit. Xiao Han will find out the truth behind Tang Lu and Tang Tian's assassination and seek justice for you. In addition, the Tang family's bloodline has not ended. Don't forget that Xiao Shi is also your granddaughter. In my hometown, girls can also inherit the family business. Tang Lan looked at him coldly. Many thanks for Commander Yu's good intentions. This old subject appreciates it. Our Tang family's matters will naturally be handled by ourselves. There is no need for Commander Yu to worry. Lin Muyu smiled and took off her heavy helmet. She tucked it under her armpit and turned to look at Qin Yin. Your Highness, I no longer have a military position and title. Does that mean I can no longer stay in Zetian Palace Hall? If that's the case, I'll take my leave first. Qin Yin was a little flustered. Are you angry? No, I'm going to eat my fill. There are still important things to do in the afternoon. Alright, go then. Thus, Lin Muyu strode out of Zetian Palace Hall and took Snowtreader's reins from Bai Yin. Looking at Lin Muyu's expression, Bai Yin smiled. Looking at Commander's expression, you must have averted the disaster. I've always said that those people from the Tang family always want to harm Commander. They are really despicable. Commander, am I right? That's not right. Lin Muyu pointed at her collar. Didn't you see that my general has been removed? Bai Yin, let's find a place to eat and drink. My treat. 'Kay, I know a good place to go. Lead the way. When it was almost noon, the two appeared on the north side of Tongtian Street. There were many restaurants here, and it was the most popular place in the imperial capital. Bai Yin led his horse straight to a beautifully decorated restaurant and smiled. Here it is. Clear Sky Pavilion? Lin Muyu looked up at the shop sign. Bai Yin said, Grand Purity Pavilion's wine and meat are extraordinarily fragrant, and they're also extraordinarily expensive. A single tray of Yin flour beef buns can be sold for 10 Yin coins, and the wine and meat are even more expensive. Brat, you're killing me. Commander, you said you would treat me to a big meal. Forget it, let's go in. All right. The two of them stepped into the restaurant together. Immediately, a 30-year-old woman wearing a long pink dress walked over and said with a smile, Oh, it's you two generals. Come in quickly, this humble restaurant has a new batch of game. I guarantee you two will have a taste. Game? Lin Muyu frowned and said in a small voice, When I was cultivating in the dragon-seeking forest, I ate game every day without fail. Bai Yin laughed. Commander, you'll find out very soon. The two of them asked for a private room, and after ordering a lot of food and wine, the lady boss left. Not long after, two courtesans walked in, one carrying a pipa and the other a harp. Both of them were extremely beautiful, at least an 8 out of 10. Bai Yin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he muttered, Grand Purity Pavilion's game is really top-notch in the imperial capital. So this is game. Lin Muyu grinned but didn't say anything. She poured herself a cup of wine and drank by herself. The two courtesans began to sing. Their voices were clear and sweet, and their skills were quite good. Even someone like Lin Muyu, who didn't understand music, could hear the bitterness and melancholy in the music. By the time the song was over, Lin Muyu had already finished 7 beef buns and a large piece of wild boar leg. Sirs, the girl carrying the pipa said, My name is Zhao Qin, and I'm proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. My ancestral home is Cloud Province's Shangyuan Commandery, and because of the chaos of war, I came to the imperial capital. If you don't abandon me, I'm willing to redeem my value at 1,400 Jin coins. I'm willing to be a slave or a servant. At this time, the red-clothed girl on the right also said, My name is Lu Lan, and my ancestral home is Qihai Province's Pingyuan Commandery. My mother died when I was young, and my father was a soldier. He died in battle against the demons half a year ago, and his pension was taken by County Chief Blackheart. With no one to rely on, I can only sell myself as a slave or a servant. If you don't abandon me, I'm willing to redeem my value at 1,000 Jin coins. Lin Muyu was silent. Bai Yin said with a smile, Sirs, my lord is of noble character and unquestionable integrity. He doesn't lack women, so there's no need for you to introduce yourselves. Just play and sing, and the reward will not be small. At this time, Lin Muyu slowly put down the cup in her hand and said, Zhao Qin, how did you end up like this? If it was only because of the chaos of war, you could have found a good family and married them with your beauty. How did you end up as a prostitute? Zhao Qin's delicate body trembled, and her beautiful eyes were covered with a layer of mist. Sirs, please understand. After my house was burned to the ground, I was captured. They defiled my body that night. How could an unclean body marry someone? That's why I ended up in this state. Lu Lan, are you the same? Lin Mu asked. Lu Lan sat there in silence, not daring to say anything. Both of them could see that this young general in front of them had an extraordinary bearing. The confidence and calmness in his speech were not something those mercenaries could compare to. Presumably, his identity was extraordinary. Moreover, the golden purple flower embroidered on his white robe made it even more obvious that he was of high status. Bai Yin was a little surprised. Commander, why are you asking about this? Lin Muyu said, the human traffickers in Yanlanyan City are becoming more and more rampant. They abduct and sell young girls everywhere to be the singers and dancers of Yanlanyan City. Those who aren't good-looking are sold as prostitutes, and no one cares about their crimes. Bai Yin laughed. This is something that has happened since ancient times. Who cares? I'll take care of it. Lin Muyu smiled. She took out a gold note from her bosom and placed it on the table. I'll help you to redeem your freedom. But you need to tell me who sold you here. I'll follow the clues and uproot this power. Sirs, you have to think this through. The business of selling prostitutes is very profitable. The backers behind them are not small. I even dared to offend Tang Lan and Su Muyun. What can this backer do to me? Today, Lin Muyu held the military power. With the strength of the Longdan army camp, it was enough to support half of the imperial capital. In addition, with the help of Feng Jixing, Xiao Han, and others, the time was ripe. Lin Muyu could indeed do some things that she couldn't do in the past. The two prostitutes were dumbfounded. This young general in front of them actually said that he dared to offend even the Seven Seas King and the Cloud King. His identity was even more obvious. There were only two people who dared to say such words in Lanyan City. One was Feng Jixing, and the other was Lin Muyu. And this handsome person in front of them was definitely not Feng Jixing. Then it was the legendary Lin Muyu who defeated the demon race in the wildfire plains. Zhao Qin's delicate body trembled slightly. She prostrated on the ground and said gratefully, "Thank you, sirs, for giving me a new lease of life." This servant was sold to the imperial capital by a group of ruffians. I only remember, they had an organization called the Copper Dagger Gang. Everyone would carry a bronze dagger with them. Many disobedient women would die under their daggers. Copper Dagger Gang? Lin Muyu frowned and asked, Bai Yin, do you know about the Copper Dagger Gang? I do. Bai Yin ate and said, Sirs, you can't be planning to make a move against the Copper Dagger Gang, right? Can't I? That's fine, but the Seven Seas King's mansion is thinking of ways to frame you, and yet you're running off to save a girl who has lost her footing. Is this really good? Won't you disappoint Xiao Han, Feng Jixing, and the others? They won't, they understand me. That's fine. Bai Yin said, the Copper Dagger Gang is different from Situ Sen's Heaven Execution Society. The Copper Dagger Gang only lives underground, and all of their transactions are done in secret. I only know that the Copper Dagger Gang has been around for less than 3 years. The leader of the Copper Dagger Gang is a man called Lu Jun. It is said that he has dealings with the Imperial Guard and some of the lower and middle-level officers of the Major Corps. So, it won't be as easy to remove the Copper Dagger Gang as you think. Lu Jun? Lin Muyu muttered, why does this hateful name sound so familiar? This subordinate doesn't know. If Sirs wants to find Lu Jun, it's very simple. You just need to find a young and beautiful woman to use as bait. Walk in the alleys of the old city area at night, and someone from the Copper Dagger Gang will naturally receive her. Please don't. Lulin, the songstress, was like a frightened little beast as she said, the Copper Dagger Gang, whenever they catch a young and beautiful girl, they will definitely defile her first. You can't. Lin Muyu flashed a radiant smile and said, don't worry, with me here, no one can touch her. Bai Yin, continue. Bai Yin nodded and explained, The leaders of the Copper Dagger Gang are divided into 10 ranks from low to high. The lowest rank is called Snakehead, and above it are Eagle Head, Wolf Head, Bear Head, Shark Head, Leopard Head, Lizard Head, Whale Head, Tiger Head, and Dragon Head. Generally speaking, Snakehead is just a small fry. If he captures more than 3 women, he will be promoted to Eagle Head. If Eagle Head captures 6 women, he will be promoted to Wolf Head. Wolf Head needs to capture. This subordinate's math isn't too good, so I can't calculate anymore. Anyway, the Copper Dagger Gang's Wolf Head is called Lu Jun. You can imagine how many innocent women he has captured. Lin Muyu was dumbfounded. She murmured, "What a great gang. If I don't destroy this Copper Dagger Gang, it will be a disgrace to my identity as a transmigrator." Bai Yin was at a loss. What is and what is transmigration? Chapter 566. At dusk, Lin Muyu returned to Zetian Palace to discuss with Qin Yin about the legislation to ban human trafficking and to get a free meal. As this matter was too serious, Qin Yin called Feng Jixing, Tang Xiaoxi, and Qin Yan over as well. At night, everyone sat around the table. In the rising steam, the pot of pork and potatoes was giving off an alluring aroma. Feng Jixing frowned and said, "If we ban human trafficking, the implications will be huge. The female slave market in Lanyan City can bring in at least 100 million gold coins every year, and all the brothels are infiltrated by the wealth of the officials. It can be said that a slight move in one part will affect the whole body. As far as I know, there are more than 40 restaurants in Officers' Alley alone that operate this kind of business. They have trained a large number of singers and dancers and are waiting for the highest price. Among these 40 restaurants, at least 10 are opened by the generals and civil officials of the Prince of Cloud Zhong's mansion, and most of the others are opened by the important officials of the imperial court. There are 3 departments and 6 ministries, and almost no one can escape. Even the Minister of History and the Minister of Revenue have opened several restaurants that trade singers. This matter, it's better to think about it at length, otherwise I'm afraid it will arouse public anger." Lin Muyu nodded and thought for a while, then said, "I know this matter has a lot of implications, so I dare not act rashly. Otherwise, I would directly dispatch the Longdan army camp to arrest them. But this matter has to be changed." "Boy, you are still thinking about the system of female camp?" Feng Jixing chuckled. "That's right." Lin Muyu said, "The soldiers of the Imperial Army are all professional soldiers. Since they are professional soldiers, they should not use female camp to stimulate their combat effectiveness. I don't know if Brother Feng still remembers, but it's not the first time that the Imperial Army's mobility and morale were affected by the existence of female camp. Many middle and low-level officers lost their fighting spirit after having female camp. When retreating and marching, the overall marching speed was also slowed down because of the female camp. Otherwise, the 20,000 Iron Blade Army cavalry would not have been chased by 3,000 armor demons and lost more than half of them." "I agree with Mu's opinion." Tang Xiaoxi, who was sitting beside Qin Yin, smiled and said, "There shouldn't be female soldiers in the Empire's army in the first place. We're not some barbaric tribe army that needs women to motivate us. Now that the Empire has a complete reward system, there's no longer a need for female soldiers to exist." The commander of the Imperial Guards, Qin Yan, ate a piece of meat and did not even have time to wipe his mouth before saying, "I also agree with Big Brother's view." Qin Yin nodded. "Since we're more or less on the same page and I think the time is ripe, I'll issue an edict tomorrow morning to abolish the barracks mistress system. All barracks mistresses of the Empire will be given 10 Jin Yin coins each. Just abolishing the concubine system is not enough." Lin Muyu said, "We still need to customize a punishment system for human trafficking. Those who forcefully abduct women and sell them as slaves will be killed. Those who forcefully abduct women and forcibly take them as wives will be whipped 50 times and fined 5 Jin Yin coins. Other than those who voluntarily sign the contract to sell themselves, anyone who forcefully buys and sells women will be punished severely. Only this way can we make the law clear and change the bad habits that have persisted for 10,000 years in the Qin Empire." On the side, Shengguan Jingyue, who was serving everyone at the back, lightly bowed and said with a smile, Jingyue represents all the women in the world to thank Commander Yu's great kindness. Your Highness, can Jingyue write this set of laws for you? And Qin Yi nodded. Then Jingyue can go busy yourself. There's no need for you to serve here. Yes, this servant will take her leave. Shengguan Jingyue slowly retreated in a natural and unrestrained manner. Seeing this, Qin Yan and Feng Jixing couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded. Qin Yin was already a great beauty, and the female official by her side was actually such a natural beauty. It was too precious. Lin Muyu seemed to have noticed something and couldn't help but smile. Big brother Feng, I'm 27 years old this year. Logically speaking, you're older than me by 5 years, so you'll be 33 years old this year. You're still unmarried. Don't tell me you won't consider it? In my opinion, this female official Shengguan Jingyue is virtuous and treats people gently. She's a good candidate. Moreover, big brother Feng, let's talk about the concubine. Feng Jixing's face was a little flushed as he said, I'm not worthy of her. How can that be? Tang Xiaoxi smiled with her dimples. Big brother Feng, as one of the Empire's commanders, is well versed in both the pen and the sword. Your appearance is also passable. Even if Jingyue's background isn't bad, she's still only a personal female official. How can you not be worthy of her? When it came to getting serious, Feng Jixing was a little timid. He lowered his head and drank the wine in one gulp. His eyes had a touch of melancholy as he said, Feng Jixing is a sinner. I carry the souls of 30,000 brothers on my back. As long as the Yihe nation is not destroyed and Ji Yao is not dead, I, Feng Jixing, am not worthy of marrying a wife. So, forget it. I've only been suffering all these years. I don't want her to suffer with me. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were startled and went silent. Everyone knew what Feng Jixing was shouldering. This was something that no one was willing to mention. Feng Jixing, because of his own kindness, buried the lives of 30,000 imperial guards. This was a knot that he would never be able to untie in his life. Actually, no matter how many enemies he killed, even if he really destroyed the Yihe nation with Feng Jixing's personality, he would never be able to let go of it. This kind of guilt would accompany him for the rest of his life. Lin Muyu used a spoon to stir the soup pot. The boar meat and potatoes slowly moved up and down. He smiled and said, the 300,000 soldiers of the Yihe nation surrounded the Fire Badger Valley. No matter what decision Big Brother Feng makes, the 30,000 imperial guards will still die. They died for the Empire and now their names are already on the nation guarding monument. They should be able to rest in peace in heaven. Big Brother Feng, you have already stepped into the Holy King realm. It is only a matter of time before you advance to God realm. You will obtain eternal life, and we still have a long road ahead of us. Feng Jixing was startled. He held his chopsticks and sat there absent-mindedly. He raised his head to look at Lin Muyu and said, if we all step into God realm in the future, the road to eternal life will be so lonely and boring. Will you drink with Big Brother Feng often? Why not? Lin Muyu stretched out his hand and looked at Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and the others. He smiled and said, with Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, and Ayan's comprehension, it is only a matter of time before you step into God realm. All of us will have eternal life. No matter how long it takes, whether it is 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, we will still be brothers and we will be together. Feng Jixing nodded his head heavily and said, all right, let's eat. This potato is a specialty of the endless forest, right? It is really delicious. That's right. Lin Muyu looked at Tang Xiaoxi and asked, Xiao Shi, how is the production of potatoes in the endless forest this year? It has been planted on a large scale. The yield of this autumn is enough for the demon clan and the barbarian tribe to survive the winter. Otherwise, I am afraid it will be another hungry winter. Next spring, we will reclaim the land and plant more crops to provide food for the endless forest and the empire. Let me tell you again, potatoes can be cooked and dried in the sun. They can also be eaten after being fried, and they taste better with ketchup. What is ketchup? This? I don't know if there is ketchup in this plane. Anyway, there is one in my plane. By the way, Xiaoxi, there is one more thing I need to trouble you with. What is it? Take me to the Copper Dagger Gang, the largest human trafficking gang in Lanyan City. Pretend to be a young woman and get caught by them. Then I can follow the clues. If it is another woman, I will not be at ease. Their cultivation is too low and they will be at a disadvantage. Humph, I am so angry. Moo, you bastard. Tang Xiaoxi stared at him angrily with her beautiful eyes wide open. Her chest heaved up and down. She said angrily, "Won't you feel bad if I am at a disadvantage?" Lin Muyu touched his nose. "Will you be at a disadvantage? I only ask that you don't kill the human trafficker in one go. In any case, come to the commander's tent tomorrow night and follow me. Don't wear too luxurious clothes or you'll be seen through." Qin Yin said worriedly, I heard that those people are despicable. They will use drugs to knock out innocent women and then take them away. What if they use drugs? It's okay. I will make some spirit concentration powder and let Xiaoxi take it first. Then, Feng Jixing stared and said, "What if those bastards take advantage of Xiaoxi when she pretends to be unconscious? For example, their breasts. Tell me." Tang Xiaoxi blushed. "That's right. You don't feel bad for me at all." "Who said I don't feel bad?" Lin Muyu was enraged. He clenched his fists and the king's fighting flame lingered. "If those bastards dare to touch a hair on Xiaoxi, I promise they will regret coming to this world. Okay, I promise you. In exchange, you have to give me 5 people. 10 people? Yes, I want 5 Kiliarchs from the Longdan army camp to be captaincy of the Suppressing Demon Pass. There are too few high-ranking generals in the Suppressing Demon Pass. Tangjin alone is far from enough. These 5 people must be proficient in combat training. Is that okay?" Tang Xiaoxi looked at him pitifully. She looked like she would cry if he did not agree. Lin Muyu thought about it. The Suppressing Demon Pass was slowly expanding. It was also one of the main armies of the empire. Tang Xiaoxi wanted 5 Kiliarchs from the Longdan army camp to be captaincy. This meant that there would be 50,000 soldiers in the Suppressing Demon Pass, and they would be held by Lin Muyu's trusted generals. Tang Xiaoxi's move was meaningful. She planned to share the military power of the Suppressing Demon Pass with Lin Muyu. As long as he was willing, he could mobilize the Suppressing Demon Pass at any time. All right then, but you have to treat the 5 generals of the Courage Dragon Battalion well. He still tried to show off after getting the benefits. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled and said, "Don't worry. When are we going to take action tomorrow? Also, I can be the bait, but you have to prepare some troops to encircle and annihilate the Bronze Dagger Gang, right?" "There's no hurry. I want to meet the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang first." "Leader?" Qin Yin was surprised. "Yes, to catch bandits, first catch the ringleader. If we catch the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang, we can subdue the entire Bronze Dagger Gang. Maybe Xiao Yin knows the leader of the Bronze Dagger Gang? Oh? How is that possible? His name is Lu Jun, so, it's this despicable person." The Empress was so angry that her face turned red. She clenched her fists and wished she could beat up that stinking hooligan to vent her anger. Chapter 567. The next day, the sun was setting and lanterns were lit up in Lanyan City. As the most prosperous city on the mainland, Lanyan City's nightlife was very colorful. The streets were full of acrobatics, lanterns, singing and so on. But this night was particularly different for Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi. On the street, Lin Muyu was dressed as a merchant, with the star's sword hidden in her gray robe, while Tang Xiaoxi was dressed as a girl from an ordinary family. Except for her very charming face, she was no different from a girl from Lanyan City who went out at night. It's so lively in the capital at night. Under the light of the fire, Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face was full of excitement. She didn't care about what would happen soon. Instead, she was attracted by the bustling night market. She took Lin Muyu's hand and ran around. "Moo, I want to eat sugar figurines. Moo, I want that windmill. Moo, I want to see acrobatics swallowing swords. Lin Muyu wanted to die. She forced herself to calm down and walked step by step toward the old city with Tang Xiaoxi. The old city was not as prosperous as the central district. It was not as bright as Tongtian Street. Along the way, there were only some peddlers selling tofu pudding, wonton, and some brothels that were not doing very well. The cold wind blew, and the few remaining dead leaves on the trees danced and fell with the wind. It was extremely cold. Lin Muyu couldn't help but tighten her clothes. Looking at the sky, it was almost midnight, and the time was almost ripe. In front, several drunken mercenaries stood next to a bard girl and listened to her singing. The girl was not good-looking. Her face was covered with dirt, and her figure was very thin. She held a rusty pipa in her hand, and when the cold wind blew, the ragged cotton on her body danced. Her voice trembled as she sang an unrhymed ballad that was popular in the empire. I've seen the falling snow in Lanyan City. I remember the starry sky in Muyu City. I hear the flute of the dragon-seeking forest. When the breeze blows through the wildfire, it blows away the blood and hatred. How many stories have been trampled by the iron hooves of the Iha kingdom? How the bards have composed heroic ballads. Her Royal Highness lives in the Zetian Palace. The smoke signal of Lanyan City annihilates the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Lin Muyu stood far away and was a little dazed as she listened. She didn't know when her name had become a part of the ballad. The bard girl sang with a trembling voice, but it wasn't too sad. Perhaps she didn't understand the meaning of the lyrics. The iron hooves of the Iha kingdom had trampled on many stories, and perhaps only Lin Muyu would understand these stories. Clang. A shiny Jin-in coin fell into the empty bowl in front of the bard girl. It was a tip from Tang Xiaoxi. Thank you. Thank you. The girl hurriedly knelt on the ground and kowtowed. She quickly grabbed the Jin-in coin and stuffed it into her pocket. Then, she picked up the pipa and continued to sing. How many months had it taken for someone to be so generous as to give her a Jin-in coin? There were only 2 or 3 rusty copper coins in her empty bowl. She couldn't even buy a bun with these copper coins. Perhaps she hadn't even eaten dinner yet. Let's go. Lin Muyu held Tang Xiaoxi's hand and didn't let her give her any more money. 1 Jin-in coin was enough. Any more and this bard girl might be killed. In this world, some people were willing to do anything for money. After buying a worn-out harp from a shop on the street, she had Tang Xiaoxi carry it and pretend to be a bard girl. The two of them walked along the dark corridor of the old city. It was midnight, and the people in the old city were already asleep. There were only a few scattered lights on the street. Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu walked slowly, one in front of the other. Tang Xiaoxi's exquisite cloud boots were hidden under her long dress. She walked on the cold stone steps, making soft sounds as she stepped on the sand. Lin Muyu was like a gray trace, about 300 meters away from Tang Xiaoxi. She followed at a moderate distance. Her footsteps were so soft that it was almost undetectable, and her aura was so suppressed that it was almost impossible to detect. However, her spirit pulse technique was spread out and captured all the auras in the surroundings. Woo-woo, the cold night wind blew on the eaves of the houses on both sides, making a ghostly howl. Tang Xiaoxi's hair stood on end when she heard it. She hugged the harp and walked forward carefully. She lifted her hood, revealing a beautiful face. As the cold wind blew, her cloak fluttered gently, revealing the perfect figure of a girl outlined by the long dress under the cloak. Tang Xiaoxi naturally knew what kind of woman could make a man commit a crime. After walking for about an hour, there was finally a sound coming from an alley not far away. Tang Xiaoxi immediately became alert, but she didn't stop walking. She still walked forward step by step with the harp in her arms. The sound of footsteps came, and a man in a black robe slowly walked out of the alley. He walked straight up and said with a foreign accent, "Miss, may I know how to get to the Dragon Search Chamber of Commerce? Please don't misunderstand. I'm a foreign merchant and I'm lost here." Tang Xiaoxi pointed to Tongtian Street in the distance. "Thank you, Mississippi." The man nodded and smiled, but a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Only after observing from a close distance did he realize how beautiful this bard girl was. However, he remained calm and walked past Tang Xiaoxi. When their backs were facing each other, he suddenly turned around and took out a piece of cotton cloth to block Tang Xiaoxi's mouth from behind. A strong smell of medicine came, and Tang Xiaoxi knew that the person she was waiting for had finally appeared. The man closed his eyes and pretended to faint on the ground. He laughed and said, "Finally, a big fish. Haha, this time, I, Hosen, can at least upgrade to an eagle head." Sure enough, there was a copper dagger hanging on his waist. Lin Muyu had no intention of letting this Hosen, carry Tang Xiaoxi to their lair. She leaped forward, and a Saint Realm pressure swept out. When Hosan's palm was 7 to 8 centimeters away from Tang Xiaoxi's chest, an invisible pressure fell on him, immobilizing him as if he had seen a ghost. At this time, Tang Xiaoxi, who was lying on the ground, got up and raised her hand to slap Hosan's face. "Smelly pervert." Lin Muyu stepped forward and grabbed Hosan's collar, saying with a frosty expression, "Don't speak, or you're dead." "Who are you?" Hosan's voice trembled. "The person who wants your life." Lin Muyu opened her palm lightly, and the jade snow frigid energy surged, creating an icy energy field around them. Suddenly, Hosen felt as if he had fallen into the abyss of death. When Lin Muyu retracted her palm, Hosen's face was as pale as a sheet, as if he had died once. "You? What do you want?" "I don't want anything, just be obedient, and I can spare your life." "Hero, as long as you don't kill me, I won't go west if you tell me to go east, I won't dare to chase a chicken if you tell me to beat a dog." Hosen knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Lin Muyu smiled in satisfaction. This was the kind of person she wanted to knock on the door, so she nodded. "I want to see the Copper Dagger Gang's leader, Lu Jun. Can you take me to him?" "You want to see the leader?" Hosen was dumbfounded. "Why can't I?" "Hero, I'm not qualified enough. If you want to see the dragon's head, you need to be a level 5 shark head in the gang. I'm just a mere snake head, the smallest in the Bronze Dagger Gang." "Then, who's the highest level person you can see?" "It's the tiger head, Lord Dog." "Lord Dog?" Lin Muyu smiled. "All right, I'll go see this Lord Dog." "But Lord Dog doesn't meet people usually, I have no reason to meet him." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. She reached out and hugged Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder, pointing at her beautiful face with her right hand. "If you get such a beautiful woman as a meeting gift, will Lord Dog still not see you?" This, Hosan's forehead was full of sweat. He said, "If you betray your brothers in the gang, you will lose an arm and a leg. If you don't take me to see Lord Dog, I guarantee that both your arms and legs will be cut off." "I'll take you there, hero, don't be impulsive." Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the dagger from Hosan's waist. She pressed it against his back. She said, "Let's go, take us to see Lord Dog." Yes, under Hosan's lead, they passed through a damp alley. Further ahead, there were actually 2 burly men guarding them with sharp blades in their hands. One of them grinned and said, "Hosan, how come you have the time to come to the branch today? Who are the 2 behind you?" "TSK, this little girl looks so pretty. Come, let me touch you first." Hosan was trembling with fear as he said, "Fei Hu, the man behind me. This man is my new follower. The woman is my prey. This woman is to be presented to Lord Dog. You can't touch her." "Presented to Lord Dog?" Fei Hu squinted his eyes. He said lightly, "It's really like a fresh flower in a vase. Go in, mother asterisk cur. God really made a mistake, letting you catch such a delicious new product." Hosen nodded and walked in with Lin Muyu. In the alley, it seemed to be a completely different world from the outside of Lanyan City. There were people sitting on both sides of the road, either eating meat and drinking wine around the bonfire, or holding a woman in their arms, touching each other. Lin Muyu frowned, holding Tang Xiaoxi's hand with one hand and didn't say anything, while Hosan didn't dare to act rashly. He had seen Lin Muyu's ability, and acting rashly would be courting death. At the end of the alley, noisy cursing and laughter came from a dilapidated house. After Hosan knocked on the door, a man wearing a wolf head emblem on his chest came out and asked with an arrogant look, "Hosan, what are you doing here?" "I, Hosan, pointed at Tang Xiaoxi behind him and said, I just caught a new product with my little brother. The product is very good, and we want to present it to Lord Dog. Please inform him. The man's eyes greedily looked at Tang Xiaoxi's face for a while, then said, Wait here, I'll go inform him. A few minutes later, the door opened again. Come in. Chapter 568. The room was filled with smoke. A large group of people were gambling around a big table and smoking a very strange kind of cigarette. It must be a kind of drug in this world. Lord Dog, she's here, the wolf head said respectfully. At the table, a bald, strong man looked up. There were 2 scars on his face. One of them was from top to bottom, so he was blind in one eye. There was a white iron egg in his eye socket, which looked very scary. But his other eye was staring at Tang Xiaoxi. When he saw the girl's face and figure, his eyes lit up. He laughed and said, Ho Sen, you're really lucky. Such a good girl has fallen into your hands. Ho Sen smiled and said, Lord Dog, I hope you can put in a good word for me in front of the Supreme Dragon Chief. Ha! Master Ho laughed and said, Don't talk nonsense. After you give this girl to me, I'll recommend you to the Supreme Dragon Chief. You'll be promoted 3 times. It's not a problem for you to be a bare head. Thank you, Lord Dog. Who is this person? He's a new face. Reporting to Lord Dog, this little brother is a friend I recently recruited. Oh, I see. Promote him to be a snake head. Yes, thank you, Lord Dog. As he spoke, Lord Dog walked over with a greedy look in his eyes. He reached out to touch Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face and said, It seems that Lord Dog is going to be a groom tonight. Lin Muyu's gaze swept across the room. There were a total of 12 people in the room. Other than Elder Dog, who had a tiger's head, there was also a whale's head and 2 sharks' heads. The rest of them were all small fry. All of them had arrogant expressions on their faces. To be able to rise to his current position, he must have defiled many young ladies. Hence, Lin Muyu's killing intent was instantly ignited. Wow! Suddenly, a chill spread out with Lin Muyu at the center. The Saint Realm quickly enveloped the surroundings, causing everyone to be speechless. He smiled at Lord Dog and raised his hand to push away the hand that was touching Tang Xiaoxi. Lord Dog, do you know who the girl you're about to take advantage of is? Under the pressure, Lord Dog's bald head was covered in sweat. He could barely speak and his voice was very hoarse. I don't know. For you. Lin Muyu gently lifted the gray robe in front of her chest, revealing a glittering golden purple een flower. She smiled and asked, Do you recognize this? The purple een flower was the emblem of the Qin family that only members of the royal family and the military could wear. The golden purple een flower was the emblem of the Qin family that could only be worn by deputy generals and kiliarchs. Behind the purple een flower, there was a golden 6-pointed star for kiliarchs, 2 stars for captaincy, and 3 stars for generals and generals. Although Lin Muyu didn't have any stars, having a golden purple een flower was enough to prove her identity. Lord Dog's body trembled. We don't have any other intentions. Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold. She smiled and said, Bring me to see the dragon head. Don't even think about it. Lord Dog growled. Really? Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and pulled out the star's sword from her robe. The bright light illuminated the whole room. Her figure flashed and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, there was only a pile of corpses left in the room. Only Lord Dog and Ho San were left from the Bronze Dagger Gang. They didn't even let out a scream during the process of killing. Who exactly are you? Lord Dog asked, his heart filled with despair. Tang Xiaoxi laughed. He's a soldier of the Empire, and he's also someone who can wield the aura of a saint-level expert. How many high-ranking military officers in the Empire have reached the saint level, and how many of them are so young? Can't you guess? Lord Dog's face turned even uglier. Could it be wind, rain, thunder, and lightning? Lin Muyu smiled. I'm Lin Muyu, ranked 2nd in wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Lord Dog, as long as you bring me to see the dragon head, I'll spare your life. Otherwise, I'll kill you and find other people from the Bronze Dagger Gang to see Lu Jun. You? Lord Dog's breathing was very rapid. The people outside didn't notice the change in the room. Even if they did, they would still die under Lin Muyu's sword if they rushed in. How could a motley crew be a match for a holy king? Moreover, the identity of the girl who came with Lin Muyu was even more suspicious. Looking at her incomparably calm appearance, her strength was probably not inferior to Lin Muyu's. For a moment, countless thoughts flew through Lord Dog's mind. In the end, he could only choose despair. The weak couldn't beat the strong. If he still wanted to cause trouble at this time, he would simply be seeking his own death. Sigh. After a sigh, Lord Dog said, "Could it be that Zetian Palace has already set their eyes on the Bronze Dagger Gang? It's not Zetian Palace. It's me who has set my eyes on the Bronze Dagger Gang." Lin Muyu said indifferently, "You guys go around robbing women. Your sins are so heavy. It's time for you to receive your retribution. Besides the dragon head Lu Jun, who else can do it? Other than me, there are 2 tiger heads, 9 whale heads. You just killed one. There are 17 lizard heads and even more leopard heads. How many people does the Bronze Dagger Gang have? I've already recorded them. There are nearly 7,000 of them." Lin Muyu's heart turned cold. She couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. There were so many people. How could she catch them all in one net? This group of people from the Bronze Dagger Gang wasn't as easy to deal with as Situ Sen's Heaven Execution Society. Most of the people from the Bronze Dagger Gang had killed people before. Moreover, each of them had a lot of sins. Lin Muyu didn't plan to let any of them go. If she didn't catch them all in one net, this operation would be considered a failure. "How can I see the dragon head?" Lin Muyu continued to ask. Lord Dog was a little dispirited and said, "Milord, we're just trading people to make a living. Please don't kill us all. Stop talking nonsense. I'm asking you, how can I see Lu Jun? Where is he?" The dragon head, stop hemming and hawing. Lin Muyu spread her hand, and the king's battle flame danced fiercely. She said, "Lord Dog, do you think I can't bear to kill you?" Lord Dog's whole body trembled, and his face became even paler. The dragon head lives in a manor in the south of the city. He spent 700,000 gold coins to buy a manor from a high official half a year ago. He also bought many female slaves to keep in the manor for fun. In addition, the dragon head spent money to build a private army. It's also in the manor. There are about 3,000 soldiers with excellent equipment. You should give up. 3,000 soldiers? Lin Muyu smiled. My brave dragon legion has 70,000 soldiers. Is it enough to encircle and annihilate him? You. At this moment, Lord Dog understood that Lin Muyu was determined to uproot the Copper Dagger Gang. He sighed and said, "Milord, if you can promise me one thing, I can help you." "Speak." "I have an old mother, 4 sons, and 3 concubines. If I help you, you can't hurt them no matter what. Also, you must spare my life. Otherwise, I won't cooperate even if I have to fight to the death. I won't hurt the sinners. Don't worry. Can you tell me now?" If Milord wants to uproot the Copper Dagger Gang, you have to do it at noon the day after tomorrow. Because the day after tomorrow is the Dragon Head's birthday, he has invited many nobles of Lanyan City to his manor. More than 80% of the Copper Dagger Gang's members will attend. As long as Milord surround the manor, you can capture them in one fell swoop. After saying this, Lord Dog softly slumped on the chair. It was as if these words had exhausted all his strength. He stared at Lin Muyu and said, "Milord, you can either not do it, or you have to destroy the entire Copper Dagger Gang. I, Lord Dog, have done this kind of thing that will let the gang down. I don't want to be chased by the remaining people of the Copper Dagger Gang." "And I understand. Don't worry." Lin Muyu took a deep breath. It seemed that she didn't need to meet the dragon head anymore. If she wanted to meet him, she could directly use force. In the wee hours of the morning after dealing with Lord Dog's evidence, she summoned Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, and the rest and issued a secret order. The Longdan army camp quietly left the city during the night. Nearly 70,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp were already outside the city. Bai Yin brought a group of people to control Lord Dog and waited for the dragon head Lu Jun's banquet the next day. When night fell, Lin Mu also left the city and brought Tang Xiaoxi to set up camp in the Longdan army camp outside the city. Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, and the other captaincy of the Dragon's Courage Legion were all there. Each of them was filled with excitement. This time, the encirclement of the Copper Dagger Gang's manor could be said to be carrying out justice on behalf of the heavens. This group of righteous generals were filled with anticipation. Suddenly, the voice of a messenger came from outside the tent. "Commander, someone requests to see you." "Who is it?" "I don't know. It's a woman. She won't say, but she has the Empress's golden token." Tang Xiaoxi said, "Maybe it's Shangguan Jingyue?" "I don't know. Let her in." After the tent's door was opened, a graceful beauty wearing a long robe walked in. After lifting the cloak, a beautiful face was revealed. She inhaled the aroma of the food in the tent and smiled. "It smells so good. Is there a share for me?" In an instant, Wei Chou, Citizen, Feng Shi, and the rest were scared out of their wits. They rolled away from the table, knelt on one knee on the carpet, and said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Highness." The person who came was none other than Qin Yin. "Xiao Yin, why are you here?" Lin Muyu smiled in surprise. Qin Yin pouted and said with some annoyance, "You're still talking about it? How could you not tell me about such a big commotion?" "Fortunately, little she told me. I've already received some information. Many of the people attending Lu Jun's banquet tomorrow are very difficult to deal with. Perhaps if I go with you, I'll be able to resolve a lot of unnecessary trouble." "That's good too. Come, have supper with us?" "Okay. If brother you didn't mention it, I would be embarrassed to take the initiative to eat. Io, why are you so shy?" Lin Muyu looked at her teasingly. Qin Yin's pretty face turned even redder. She said to Qin Yen, who was behind her, Yen, bring people back to Zhe Tian Palace Hall. Don't let anyone know that I'm not in Zhe Tian Palace Hall. Do you understand?" Qin Yen placed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said hesitantly, "Cousin, you don't want me to follow the Longdan army camp to annihilate the Bronze Dagger Gang?" "No way. Quickly return to Zhe Tian Palace Hall. Just treat it as helping cousin." "All right then. Men, leave 100 Imperial Guards to protect His Highness. The rest follow me back to Zhe Tian Palace Hall." Chapter 569. It was close to noon, and the warm winter sun shone unreservedly on the earth. Nearly 10 li south of Lanyan City, between two small towns, a luxurious manor stood on the map of Lanyan City. At this time, there was a continuous stream of carriages entering the manor. They were all nobles from Lanyan City, and some of the carriages even had golden purple flowers embedded on the wheels. There were a total of 4 entrances to the manor. The main gate faced west, and 2 golden statues of goddesses glowed dazzlingly under the sun. These 2 statues were gilded, symbolizing wealth and nobility. Carriages entered one after another under the stone statues, and the owner was welcoming them. He was a man in his 30s, and although he looked like a rat, he wore a brocade robe embroidered with gold. He was the man who had once tried to kidnap Qin Yin in the dragon-seeking forest, Lu Jun, the chief of the Copper Dagger Gang. Several private soldiers in armor stood behind Lu Jun, long swords at their waists. Their expressions were ruthless, and even their smiles seemed very stiff in the face of a group of nobles. Perhaps they were more suited to an expression of anger. Gurgle, gurgle. A carriage embroidered with tiger patterns entered the manor under the protection of nearly 100 guards. Lu Jun hurried forward with a face full of smiles, saying, "General Weiyun, welcome to my humble abode. I, Lu Jun, apologize for not going out to meet you." The curtain of the carriage was lifted, and a general with thick eyebrows and big eyes walked out. It was General Weiyuan, Tang Xiao. As the son of Tang Lan's cousin, Tang Xiao had long since been promoted to a high position. As a second-ranked General Weiyuan, he could be considered to be famous in Lanyan City. He was in charge of nearly 30,000 troops from the Seven Seas City, and his name was known far and wide. Lord Lu Jun is too polite. Tang Xiao smiled faintly, saying, since it's Lord Lu Jun's birthday, how can the Seven Seas Tang sect not come to congratulate you? Unfortunately, His Highness the Seven Seas King is busy with official business and can't make it, so I, a lowly General Wei Yuan, have come to congratulate you on his behalf. Men, bring Lord Lu Jun a birthday gift. A few soldiers quickly worked together to carry a huge wooden plank over. The things on the plank were covered with red cloth. Tang Xiao smiled and said, My lord, don't you want to see what His Highness the Seven Seas King has prepared for you? Lu Jun beamed with joy as he walked forward. After pulling off the red cloth, he discovered that it was a pai xiu made of gold. It weighed at least 100 pounds, which was already very valuable. Not to mention, the carving was very detailed and lifelike, which made its value even more difficult to estimate. For a moment, Lu Jun was grinning from ear to ear. Your Highness is too polite. How can I enjoy this? Tang Xiao laughed out loud. Lord Lu Jun, there's no need to be so polite. We are in a cooperative relationship. The Seven Seas Monarch has a message for me to convey to you. But what? Recently, the demons and the Iha kingdom have been restless, and the survival of the empire is at stake. Therefore, His Highness has decided to expand the army and recruit the warriors in the province. This requires more provisions, weapons, salaries, and other materials. Therefore, His Highness the Seven Seas King has decided to increase the commission of all the restaurants, casinos, and workshops that the Tang family cooperates with you by 10%. I hope that Lord Lu Jun can consider the overall situation of the country. Why can't I? Tang Xiao narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. Yes, of course. Since His Highness the Seven Seas King has spoken, it's a small matter. General, please report to His Highness that this additional 10% of income will be sent to the Seven Seas King's mansion from this month onwards. His Highness can rest assured. Good. Tang Xiao patted Lu Jun's shoulder and laughed. Your Highness is far-sighted. You will definitely achieve great things in the future. Then, shall I go in and drink your birthday wine first? Please come in. Looking at Tang Xiao's back, Lu Jun couldn't help but clench his fists. His face was livid as he whispered, This group of vampires. It's not easy to do business, and they actually increased the commission. Sigh. A private army leader behind him said, Boss, this can't be helped. How can we not bow our heads when we are under the low eaves? Half of Lanyan City is under the control of the Tang family. If the Tang family doesn't protect us, I'm afraid more than half of our shops can't be opened at all. This 10% of income can be considered as filling the appetite of the King of Hell. That's the only way. Lu Jun gritted his teeth and asked, Are all the people from the 6 ministries here? The people from the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of Appointments, the Ministry of Revenue, and the Ministry of Justice are all here. Basically, they are all officials with the rank of assistant minister. However, the people from the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Works are still nowhere to be seen. Last month, the Minister of War, Xue Ling, chose 3 maids from us to be his concubines. Don't worry. We have him under our control. It's impossible that he won't come. Hey, boss is wise. In less than a few minutes, the neighing of war horses could be heard from outside the manor. The people from the Ministry of War had indeed arrived. Moreover, there were nearly 200 of them. The person who was wearing battle armor was the Minister of War, Xue Ling. He actually came to offer his birthday congratulations in person. Lu Jun hurriedly stepped forward, cupped his fists, and laughed. The minister's presence brings light to my humble abode. You really give me too much face. Please come in. Xue Ling held the reins and did not dismount from his horse. He spurred his horse and led his entourage into the manor. When he passed by Lu Jun, he turned to look at him and said with a smile, Boss Lu, what a grand show of extravagance. Such a birthday banquet is probably comparable to a noble's birthday. Minister, what are you talking about? Please come in, please come in. Watching Xueling leave, Lu Jun's expression became even uglier. The leader of the private army behind him said angrily, "What an arrogant and conceited Xueling. He didn't even dismount from his horse. He doesn't take us seriously at all." Lu Jun turned around and looked at him coldly. "He is the minister of war with hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses. We are the underworld ruffians of Lanyan City. Why should he take us seriously? Correct your attitude. We are businessmen. We get rich through harmony. Don't fight with others for a moment of pride." "Yes, I understand." Lu Jun turned around and looked at the road outside the manor. He said, "The people from the Ministry of Works probably won't come. I don't have much of a relationship with the Minister of Works, Ouyang He. It's almost time. Boss, let's go into the main hall to prepare for the birthday ceremony. Don't let the guests wait too long." "Okay, let's go." The extravagance of the manor's main courtyard was in no way inferior to that of the Zetian Palace. Qilin patterns were engraved on the huge pillars, and ancient patterns were engraved on the surface of the pillars. The patterns were glimmering, and only when the guests got closer to take a look did they discover that those patterns were actually all sorts of valuable precious gems that were embedded on the stone pillars. The wealth of the Bronze Dagger Gang had already reached the point where it could rival half a province. The main hall was very spacious. Young girls in faintly discernible gauze dresses walked through the crowd with plates of fruits and wine. These young girls were at least above average in beauty. The Copper Dagger Gang made its fortune through human trafficking. Naturally, they had no shortage of beautiful women. The fertile land of the Qin Empire had produced countless beautiful women. Now, they were brought to a place like this. They were dressed in revealing clothes and allowed the guests to grope them, but they didn't dare to resist at all. Lu Jun slowly walked into the main hall with a wine cup in his hand. He smiled and said, "Everyone, please be quiet." When the host spoke, the crowd quieted down from the noise. Lu Jun continued, "Everyone, I am sincerely grateful that you could attend my birthday in the midst of your busy schedule. As a token of appreciation, everyone who enters the hall today can choose one of your maids to take with them." Instantly, the hall was filled with jubilation. Many guests were already drooling over the maids beside them. Now that Lu Jun said such a thing, it was simply too extravagant. Thus, many people began to fight over the maids beside them. The banquet began and everyone took their seats. The Ministry of War's Minister Xueling, General Weiyuan Tang Xiao, Su family's commander Su Long and the others were arranged to sit at the same table. They were accompanied by Lu Jun personally. After 3 rounds of wine, everyone looked drunk. At this time, a member of the Tiger Head Gang with a copper dagger on his waist walked in and whispered into Lu Jun's ear, "Dragon Head, something bad has happened. There are traces of the Empire's army on the main road. All of them are cavalry, and there are people in all 4 directions of the manor." "What?" Lu Jun trembled. "Which army is it? Don't they know that the Ministry of War's minister is here?" It's Lin Muyu's valiant Dragon Corps. How many people are here?" "Too many to count." The Tiger Head Bronze Dagger Gang member's face was ashen. "Boss, do we need to use our private army to protect the manor? Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in a single moment." "Protect the manor?" Lu Jun sneered. "Do you plan to use that motley crew to block the Empire's official army? Then what should we do? Let me think." Lu Jun looked at everyone at the banquet and suddenly cupped his fists. "Lords and generals, this lowly one has a presumptuous request." Xueling smiled slightly. "Boss Lu, please speak your mind." Lu Jun said, "One of the armies stationed at Lanyan City, the Valiant Dragon Corps, is approaching this lowly one's manor with ill intentions. This lowly one is a proper businessman. If Commander Yu wants to make things difficult, please help this lowly one." "Lin Muyu is here?" Xueling gritted his teeth. "Let's see what he says when he arrives." "Boss Lu, don't panic." "Yes, thank you, Lord Minister." Tang Xiao, Su Long, and the rest all stood up. Hearing that Lin Muyu had brought the Longdan army camp over, they immediately sobered up. The heavy and concentrated sound of hooves could be heard from outside the manor's hall, and not long after, the the sound of footsteps on marble could be heard. A group of generals from the Valiant Dragon Corps walked in with a dense group of soldiers. Lin Muyu was dressed in a white royal forest armor and walked at the front, followed by Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, Citizen, Shui, and the rest. Behind them was a group of soldiers with longbows in their hands, the white diamond arrows glinting in the sunlight. Lu Jun did not even see the person clearly before he rushed forward and knelt on one knee, his voice trembling. "This lowly citizen Lu Jun pays his respects to Commander Yu. May I know why Commander Yu has brought so many soldiers to my humble abode today? First, raise your head and look at me." Lin Muyu's voice was indescribably calm. Lu Jun raised his head. The more he looked at this kid, the more familiar he felt. He murmured, You are, have you forgotten about Du Yiming? And that girl you wanted to knock out in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you've forgotten everything about Chapter 2? Lu Jun stumbled back on the marble floor as if he had seen a ghost. How can it be you? How can it be you? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.